Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson can't answer simple questions because it's her bad policies. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
So for the last 2 days, I'm off air because of the last days of the Jewish holiday of Passover. Don't worry, I am here for the long haul now, basically through September. Until I go to D.C., please God, that works out, that we're going for the 250th anniversary. But I am here for the long haul. So here's an impression of Ari Hoffman every single day where you can't check my phone, can't check my email. I go and find the synagogue security guard when I show up in the morning for morning services. So, anything new? He says to me, he goes, well, they're still firing rockets. I go, so the ceasefire isn't really holding? And he says, well, Iran is claiming they need 24 hours to inform everybody. And it's going to take that much time. I'm like, so Israel's just supposed to take it? No. See, Israel is bombing Lebanon because Hezbollah has continued firing, and Iran says that violates the ceasefire because Iran wants that to be part of the ceasefire. I'm like, wait, this makes no sense whatsoever. I have to wait 2 days before I can get into the weeds and find out what's actually going on here. Right as I was signing off it was Tuesday. Tuesday night, we get this announcement of a ceasefire between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. Well, immediately, everybody starts launching what they got left in Iran. They start launching all the ballistic missiles they can because they're like those two kids fighting in the backseat of a car who just try to get in their last licks before mom and dad totally shut them down. So Iran keeps launching these missiles, and they're impacting on some places in Israel. They don't launch at the U.S. targets. They launch at the Israeli ones. Well, that continued for about 24 hours until they informed, and I'm using the air quotes, everybody in the region. Now, Iran's objectives for this war, all they are is to survive. All they are is to survive. Their next level objectives is, if we survive, can we retain control of the Hormuz Strait to restrict flow and shut down anytime we want, or tax it, or toll it, or whatever the case may be? Number 3, can we keep our nuclear weapons development program going on? That's their objectives for the war. What are the U.S. objectives? No more uranium enrichment. No more of that. No more developing nuclear weapons. No more ballistic missiles, so you can't be a threat to anybody in the area, and no control over the Hormuz Strait. So what's fascinating is the U.S. had a 15-point plan, which basically outlined these things, which said no more funding terror, no more uranium, no more with the Hormuz Strait, no more of any of this. And then after the ceasefire is agreed to, even though it's not really in place yet, I start seeing all these accounts that claim to be America First and Trump supporters saying, here's the 10-point plan that America has agreed to, and look how terrible it is. And I notice right away, wait a second, the one that Trump and crew proposed is 15 points. What's this 10-point thing? And also, this 10-point thing is nothing the U.S. wants. This looks like it was written up by Iran. And guess what? It was. Those are Iran's terms. And all these accounts that claim to be America First, America First, America First, they're the ones pushing this out. What is going on here? Well, it seems to me that the left and the Podcast First crew are in complete agreement about the war. They both want the U.S. to lose. They both want Iran to win, which is a really sick version of horseshoe theory, because if you imagine a horseshoe, the far right and far left are closer to each other than they are to the center. What was the left originally saying? Trump is a madman. He's going to get us into World War III. And then the second this ceasefire goes into effect, what is the left saying? Trump is a coward who couldn't actually finish the job. I don't understand. You guys are conflicted. You want a war, you don't want a war. No matter what the man does, you guys are never happy with any of it. Let's be real right now. Iran's Navy at the bottom of the ocean. Iran's Air Force, the antiquated museum pieces they had left, like in Top Gun Maverick, destroyed. The heads of all of their branches of government, gone. They have almost nobody left. They sent their representatives to negotiate with the United States. They all just landed on the ground. You've got J.D. Vance. You've got Steve Witkoff. They're getting off the planes. And who are they meeting with? Basically, their Secretary of Agriculture. It's like designated survivor over there because they have nobody left. A couple members of parliament, the ones who chant death to America. Trump saying we're going to know within 24 hours if we have a deal or not is very telling because it's basically, here's what the U.S. wants. Stop funding terror. Stop closing the Strait of Hormuz. Stop developing nuclear weapons. Stop shooting ballistic missiles at everybody. Very, very simple. And Iran is likely never going to agree to this. This is why this is win-win for the United States. Why? Because then the U.S. said, we tried. We tried. Time for us to go take out Karg Island. Time for us to go open up the Strait of Hormuz. No more of this. Now, people don't understand how many levels are involved in all this. Who brokered, and I'm using air quotes again, the ceasefire? Pakistan. Why Pakistan? Well, Pakistan is a shill for China. Where does China's oil come from? Iran, through the Strait of Hormuz. Close to 40% of their oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz. If the Strait of Hormuz is closed, then guess what that means? China is in trouble, and they're not going to come to the U.S. for their oil. So who are they going to go to get their oil? Now they got a problem. They needed this war over. People don't understand that taking out the Iranian regime, which is working with China, which is working with Russia, with all these guys working together, that is solving other problems that we have, not just internationally, but domestically as well. So if the Iranians don't give in on anything, the U.S. does what it does best. We head on in there, take Karg Island, which is their oil production facility, take whatever oil we want, take the Hormuz Strait, and there you go. Now Iran has no economy whatsoever. And it's really hard to fund terror when you don't have an economy. Without them funding terror, Hezbollah, why would Hezbollah listen to them? Yeah, they're a death cult and they'll try to kill everybody, but if they don't have the money to continue paying for rockets and missiles, you're going to have a harder chance doing that. And what's really left of Hezbollah? Let's remember that Iran was funding the terrorists in Iraq, the Houthi rebels, Hamas, Hezbollah, you name it. They're funding everybody. But why is Hezbollah the only one still attacking? Because they're the only ones dumb enough to do it, and the only ones that have slight numbers of capability able to do it. Since October 7th, the majority of the area of the Middle East has been completely realigned because Israel had to take out all these bad guys who were Iranian terror proxies. Do you see the world realignment that's going on here? Then you have the cowardly Europeans. The Europeans don't want to fight for their oil. Instead, they'd rather just buy it from Russia. So hang on a second. You want the U.S. to come and protect you from Russia, but you're funding Russia's war on Ukraine by buying their oil, you cowards. You cowards. What's the point of NATO? They're literally funding Russia. They're the big baddies. What's the point of NATO? You notice it's like Poland and the Baltic area that are the ones that are saying, yeah, U.S. will help you with this because they're right next to Russia, and they need the U.S. to protect them. France? No, we don't work today or tomorrow or any other day. The UK has been taken over by terrorists. So, of course, they're not going to come fight. So this is the state of the world we're in right now. And when this ceasefire collapses, which I believe it will, the U.S. can go, we tried our very best. They're not listening. Let's go finish the job. Now, in the meantime, you've got some domestic problems. The domestic problems you have right now is the price of gas. Gas being this high scares some people, scares a lot of people because it's really, really, really expensive. And you have states across the U.S. that are talking about tax holidays, maybe getting rid of the sales tax locally or getting rid of the gas tax locally. Not Washington State. Nope, Turd Ferguson ain't going to do that. Doesn't matter that our gas is more than a cup of coffee at Starbucks these days per gallon. No. Turd Ferguson ain't giving up that money whatsoever. So that's not going to happen here. Don't get any ideas in your head. That's never going to happen. Plus, he would have to call a special session. You think Bob Ferguson is going to call a special session, then the Democrats are going to vote on a tax holiday for the Climate Commitment Act or any other tax they passed? No, of course not. But what's fascinating is watching the people who claim to be America First, like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, that whole crew, saying the same thing as the Democrats, spewing the Iranian propaganda. Joe Kent, right after the ceasefire, Joe Kent is like, okay, now that there's a ceasefire, we have to restrain Israel. I'm sorry, what? What? That's your concern? Not the leftovers of the Ayatollah's terror regime that executes their own people? You remember there were millions of people out in the streets. 30 to 40,000 of them were killed by the Ayatollah's regime right before this whole thing. But we have to restrain Israel? No. Something else is going on here. When I came back online last night and I saw this tweet, or this truth, whatever you call it, from President Trump, I just got a big smile on my face. He wrote, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think this is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. Because they have one thing in common, low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it, and everybody else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes. They never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are opposite of MAGA. Or I would have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating for Trump. Not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who hastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question. Or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and hopefully win lots of money in an ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things, lost his entire fortune as he should have for his horrendous attacks on the families of Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they always will be. Now, fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA, they're losers, just trying to latch onto MAGA. As president, I can get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength. Is not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again, and these people have no idea how to do that. But I do. Because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President Donald J. Trump. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Because you look at the insane stuff they're spewing. And what? They're mad over the Iran thing because they disagree with President Trump on one thing? All right, let's be real about our show here. We disagree with President Trump a lot. We have a segment called When the Right Gets It Wrong. We call him out when we think he needs to be called out. For example, Kevin, right before we went to the break, because I see Kevin's like, I don't know how much you actually call the guy out.
Well, you said a lot. I wouldn't go with a lot.
Okay, I'll say we will call him out when I think it is deserved. How's that? So, right before the break, what did I say? This ceasefire has no chance. No chance whatsoever. It's probably a rearming time. And I know President Trump knows the Iranians are lunatics, but I don't get the logic of this whatsoever. In the meantime, I found out multiple military divisions are over there, probably staging for the next level of this thing. You want to bring down gas prices. You want to shoot up the stock market. Fine. But the ceasefire has no chance of holding. No chance. Okay? Does that mean I'm calling him out, or does it just mean I'm calling into question a few things? I don't like tariff policy. I have said from the beginning I don't like tariff policy. Now put that up against Kamala Harris. Who would you rather have in the Oval Office? Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And it's a no-brainer. President Trump, the stuff he is doing on the international stage is America first. The stuff he is doing on the international stage will make the world a more secure place. Do I have different disagreements with him from time to time? Sure, but that doesn't mean I go, yeah, long live the Ayatollah, which seems to be what the podcast first crew is doing. In fact, this was fascinating. CNN is now doing polling on the podcast first crew. Give a listen.
Let's start off with Tucker Carlson, who has been in absolute free fall with Republicans. I mean, just take a look at this. Look at this trend line. Tucker Carlson's net favorable. Back in March of 2024, when he and Donald Trump were very close friends, look at this. He was at plus 54 points. Look at where he is today at only plus 7 points among Republicans, and that includes GOP-leaning independents. I mean, that is a drop of, what, 47 percentage points. My goodness gracious. When you go up against Donald Trump and you want to appeal to the Republican base, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go on the grinder, and that is...
To quote the movie Good Burger? Okay. All right. Harry Ensign, I like you just fine, but that's a... I don't even know if I'd call that a deep cut. That's just a bad cut right there. We're going to quote the Good Burger.
Yeah, that's a reference no one has ever made, although it does show his age, right?
Yeah, like, it does.
You could quote anything from Good Burger for me. I've never seen the movie, never will. Too old.
It's that age right after us.
Yeah.
Right after me, where I'm like, I knew the movie existed, but I wasn't going to waste any time whatsoever with it.
Yeah, and it was also like a part of a Nickelodeon thing, right? Wasn't that what it was?
The dude with the hair and the hat. Yeah. I don't know about that.
All That?
Maybe.
Is that
Sure.
something like that? I don't know.
Sure. Okay, put it this way. It's in that years of Nickelodeon, which are now part of the Scandal Nickelodeon
yes, there you
show.
go, yes. To quote Good Burger.
Yes. All right, Harry Ensign, we love you. You're like one of the few honest guys over there at CNN, but come on. Look, this whole thing is not so crazy. Because what happened? President Trump had coattails. Everybody wanted to be on Team Trump going into that election who had common sense. And you saw it on social media. You saw it across the country. And a lot of these podcasters, Megyn Kelly hated Donald Trump, hated him. And all of a sudden hops on the bandwagon. Tucker Carlson, the one who had various different disagreements, but then hopped on the bandwagon. You have all these people hopping on, but then the second they see they can get more clicks from all the anti-Semitic or anti-American lunatics out there, that's immediately the direction they go in. That's not America first. That's podcast first. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. I think the ceasefire should fail. I think it's going to fail. I think Iran have a good load of BS and they never keep their word anyway. Negotiating with them is folly. Folly. But you give it a chance. Give peace a chance. Trust but verify. You know why Tucker Carlson's ratings are going down? You know why people aren't listening to his show anymore? You know why his approval is going down, according to CNN? Because so many of you have told me the exact same thing. Ari, I used to love Tucker Carlson. We always used to watch it in my house. We loved him on Fox News, but what happened to him afterwards? It's not the same guy. People are sad about what happened with Megyn Kelly. People feel duped by Candace Owens when she was at the Daily Wire versus now. They feel like they just were used. They're disappointed that Megyn Kelly became Grandma Groiper and all the nonsense that she's spewing. Because at the end of the day, they don't represent anything you stand for anymore. Not at all. I hear this from people all the time. Me, I never liked Tucker Carlson. Me, Megyn Kelly, I thought her legal analysis was interesting, but aside from that, didn't see much value in it. Candace Owens, I liked her when she first hit the scene, but then I read her book and I said, this is vapid. There is nothing there. And I saw more and more interviews with her and I said, she's a one-trick pony. She's got nothing else there. This is not America first. Internet is not real life. It bleeds into real life. Real life bleeds into the internet, but it's not real life. I bet if I said to you guys right now out there, are you still backing Donald Trump or are you backing Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Joe Kent, and Candace Owens? I know exactly what you guys would say. I know exactly what you guys would say, and you're welcome to give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. I will ask again, since this conflict began, you think we should just go in and finish the job? That's what I personally think we should do. Take Karg Island, secure the Strait of Hormuz, and reset the entire global alignment. So now China has issues with their oil. Now you don't have a threat in the Middle East anymore. You don't have a country anymore trying to develop nuclear weapons and saying death to America all the live long day. I say you finish the job. What do you think? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Somebody else who's trying to reset the order around here is Katie Wilson, and that's not a good thing. But she's dodging questions from reporters, and even the lamestream media is getting upset about it. We'll tell you what's going on up next. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. I am so disappointed in Fox 13. It looks like they are trying to out King 5. They are trying to out woke the wokest news station in town. They have this written by Alejandra Guzman, Mayor Katie Wilson's first 100 days, motherhood and leadership. Okay, you can imagine what the rest of this garbage article is like. Oh, it's so hard for me to drop off our daughter at daycare and then go to City Hall. Okay, you know she has a police escort. In fact, they drive her wherever she needs to go. So she could be sitting on the back on her cell phone the whole time, ignoring her daughter. She could even have them drop off her daughter. Wow, that's so hard. Hey, what's her unemployed husband doing while she's earning over $300,000 a year? Her first 100 days, motherhood and leadership. Wow, what hard-hitting journalism right there from Fox 13. Man, who needs King 5 when you got Fox 13? What kind of garbage is this? Turns out Katie Wilson doesn't want hard questions. This is as much of a softball as when the Seattle Times took Bob Ferguson to the movies. I kid you not. You remember this nonsense? So the movie One Battle After Another comes out with Leonardo DiCaprio. And Leonardo DiCaprio is playing a character whose name is Bob Ferguson. So they say, let's go to the movies with the governor. And let's ask him about his thoughts on the movies. Let's do a movie review with Turd Ferguson. That was the interview. This is the hard-hitting journalism we have here. Exactly. They didn't even ask him, hey, what do you think about Ari Hoffman calling you Turd Ferguson all the time? I think that would have been kind of funny, personally. Exactly. Meanwhile, luckily, we do have some real journalists around here, like our friend Jonathan Cho. Katie Wilson announces her new plan. Her new plan, wait for it, new idea, new plan, to solve the homeless crisis. It's going to be more tiny homes. So even though our friend Andrea Suarez from We Heart Seattle and Jonathan Cho have exposed that in the tiny home villages, not only do they have shacks that are dedicated entirely for smoking up and doing fentanyl and meth and you name it and everything in that room. It's like a gas chamber right there in the middle. That's what it looks like with all the smoke coming out of it. But they're doing it in the houses too. So she announces her big plan for more tiny homes. Luckily, Jonathan Cho was there.
That we can't just keep moving people from place to place and calling that progress. And I believe that all of you are willing to welcome well-run shelters with wraparound services in your own neighborhoods.
No, I'm really not. Sorry, lady. No, we're not willing to do that.
And the places that you live, work, and spend time.
Everybody that stays in these tiny homes is like a hardcore drug addict.
Mayor, there's video evidence of rampant drug use inside tiny house villages. First of all, are you aware of that?
Do you have another question, sir?
Okay. wait. Okay. So this is a little bit of a montage. What you have here is you have Katie Wilson giving her speech, and then this guy who sent Andrea Suarez a video of him getting high in his tiny home, saying that everybody gets high in the tiny home. So Jonathan Cho shows up. And he says, hey, Mayor Wilson, there's a whole bunch of drug use in your tiny homes, right?
These tiny homes is like a hardcore drug addict.
Mayor, there's video evidence of rampant drug use inside tiny house villages. First of all, are you aware of that?
Do you have another question, sir?
No. Okay, so she has a whole gaggle of reporters around her. And Jonathan Cho asked the question. Nope, not you. Who's this other fellow over here who, by the way, I don't recognize? Kevin, I know a lot of people in the media world, even if I've never met them, just because you see the names again and again. Look, a lot of these people know me, and, we've never met before. But I don't know who that dude is who she's talking to. Is he from The Stranger or something? I don't know.
I don't know half the people anymore. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't surprise me that you don't know them, and it's changing all the time
now.
but
this dude looks like he's been there since you started in this business. This dude looks like he's been there for a long. This dude looks like he started when radio started. Okay, that's how long it looks like this dude has been here for. No clue who he is. No idea.
Did he have a question for her?
I mean, maybe, but I only saw the Cho edit. So
that's the funny thing, too. Could you imagine her just going, how about you?
How about you?
Like, I didn't raise my hand.
Right. It's like that Sean Scott video when he's trying not to answer Brandy Cruz's questions. He's like, anybody else have a question? Anybody, please, God, somebody save me from the blonde lady.
You got to love that, too, if no one has a question except for the people that you don't want to answer.
Yes.
Like, how ridiculous do you look?
And why don't you just say this? Why don't you just do this? Yes, Jonathan, I'm aware of those reports, and we're addressing those reports. We're looking into the validity of those reports. We're going to do a full investigation and find absolutely nothing, but thank you, Jonathan, for the question. Is it that hard? Oh, I forgot who we're talking about. She's not very bright. In fact, the same lady who goes to protest Starbucks is the same one now who's saying, thank you, Starbucks, for saving my butt and paying for the tiny homes. Jonathan Cho's got a little mashup here for us of her comments.
The baristas have shared that the best way to show our support is not to buy Starbucks in solidarity. I also want to take a moment to thank Governor Gregoire and Challenge Seattle, and 4 of their members specifically, Microsoft, John Stanton and Terry Gillespie, T-Mobile, and Starbucks, for partnering with us, helping us to move more quickly and scale up this effort to bring more people inside.
Oh, wait. Did she say Governor Gregoire? She hasn't been governor for a long time. A long time. But on top of that, the very people you went to protest, the same day you won your election, you're now thanking them for saving your sorry you-know-what by building these useless drug addict tiny homes. Oh, isn't that great? When reality collides with your promises during the campaign and you realize you need Starbucks to come save you. Oh, what a disaster Katie Wilson is. I would love to debate Katie Wilson. It would be worth running for mayor just to debate Katie Wilson because she never responds to any press requests whatsoever. Come on the show, Katie. We'd love to talk to you. She don't want to come on this show. Why do you think Katie Wilson doesn't want to come on this show? I'll give you 3 guesses, my friends, 3 guesses. So I asked you guys before, what do you think is going to happen with the ceasefire? Sylvia says, Iranian leaders are liars, terrorists, and a culture of death. That's who they are. They're not going to change after 47 years. Obliterate them. That's all they understand. Do all possible to protect the people, but destroy the infrastructure. Finish the job. Pam in Lake Stevens says talks will probably reach an impasse, so more bombing will be needed at that point. Eben in Bonnie Lake says, Ari, I say bomb Iran back to the hell where they came from and let the rest of the world get on with their lives. We have a naysayer here. Here we go. This is a good one. Tucker and Alex Jones are good journalists. So the Sandy Hook thing where he said they were all paid actors. That's what Alex Jones said, right? That's good journalism. Mm-hmm. With some opinions I disagree on, but still respect. Looks to me like all these people, including yourself, are just upset with their opinions and focus on Israel. Did I mention Israel in that last thing at all? Was I talking about that? No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about their other lunacy.
All those guys care about are the clicks.
That's it.
That's it.
Do you know how much more money I could be making if all I cared about was the clicks?
Yeah.
I could do that.
Or if you just went off and said whatever you felt was okay to say and just go blast it off half-cocked.
You and Mike. When I first started, I don't even remember what the comment was, but years ago when I first started in radio and you guys were giving me all the coaching all the time, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. I remember this like it was yesterday, Kevin. You guys said to me at one point, both of you separately heard something I said. And you said, if you want to be a shock jock, you can go do that. That is a choice. You can go do that. But if you want to be you, don't go do that. You have a choice right here.
Yeah.
It was a moment. I don't even remember what I said. And I took that very, very seriously. That's what and I said, this is the way we're going to go. Not that crazy.
Yeah, if you want to do things just to get people riled up and just to get clicks and just you can do that. But once you go down that path,
you ain't coming back.
Really tough coming back.
Really hard to come back. Speaking of coming back, when we come back, no ICE didn't arrest an innocent asylum seeker in Seattle. We're going to debunk this latest mainstream media nonsense when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, we were going to talk about immigration stuff, but there's a far more salacious story going on right now.
And this definitely fits in with the swamp, right?
Yes, most definitely. Let's get some breaking news, shall we, right now?
Talk Radio 570 KVI. Breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
The San Francisco Chronicle released a story that everybody's favorite stupor of Chinese spies, Eric Swalwell, is now up to his eyeballs in allegations that he raped women and did other not-so-good things to women, and I don't see how he survives this politically. Why do I say that? Because whatever allegations you get, when the teachers union says they are now suspending their support of you, you're in trouble. This tweet from the California Teachers Association. The allegations are incredibly disturbing and unacceptable against Representative Swalwell. We are immediately suspending our support. Our elected board will be meeting soon as possible to follow our union's democratic process to determine next steps because he's running for governor of California. And I believe they endorsed him. So now they got a problem because they don't want to be associated with this at all because the San Francisco Chronicle is definitely not my little black book of the right-wing media conspiracy. They are most definitely in my little red book of the Maoist conspiracy theory. So the teachers union announcing they are dumping him. This one here, Congressman Jimmy Gomez, who supported him, wrote this. Today I learned shocking information about Eric Swalwell, containing the ugliest and most serious accusations imaginable. My involvement in any campaign begins and ends with trust. I cannot, in good conscience, remain in any role with this campaign, and I'm stepping down from it effective immediately. The congressman should leave the race now so there can be full accountability without doubt, distraction, or delay. I'm kind of wondering why nobody did this with the Fang stuff. I mean, the guy allegedly stooped a Chinese spy, and they didn't have these issues. Now, all of a sudden, they have these issues. Hey, better late than never. Welcome to the party, pals. I don't see how he survives this. I really don't. I think what will happen is maybe within the next 24 to 72 hours, he's going to announce that he's suspending his campaign for governor. And probably shortly after that, he's going to look at some polling and announce that he's not seeking another term in Congress. I think that's the end of that. Look, Matt Gaetz' stuff was bad. Bad. And I'm glad he's gone. Super glad he's gone. That's nothing compared to this. When the left is turning on the left, they don't do that unless they really, really have to, and that's how serious these allegations are. Tell me, you think Swalwell survives this? He survived the Chinese spy thing politically. So you think he's going to survive this one? I don't know, guys. I think that's the end of Austin Danger Powers Eric Swalwell. I think he's out. I think he's done. I think the Chinese spy didn't get to him, but I think this got to him. Meanwhile, switching gears to Representative Pramila Jayapal, the Democrat from Hamas. I think she's local because she's doing some town hall events, and she said the not-so-quiet part out loud.
And there was enforcement, but the enforcement was much more humane and much more responsible to how we actually need to treat people. So I'm proud that we've been able to continue to ensure that there's no funding for ICE and CBP.
Whoa. No funding for ICE and CBP. First of all, that's not true. There is funding for ICE and CBP. There's no funding for TSA. There's no funding for other agencies. You're not funding the Department of Homeland Security, but there is funding for ICE and CBP. You're proud there's no funding to secure our borders? You're proud there's no funding to get rid of illegal alien criminals who have killed people in your state? You're proud of that? That wasn't the only crazy she said.
And then when we take power, we're going to get the kinds of reforms and dismantle ICE and CBP in the way that I think they should be.
When they take back Congress, when we take power, we're going to dismantle ICE and the CBP. What would be the upside in that? The only upside in that would be that more illegal alien criminals can come to the U.S. That is the only upside. That's the end of that. That's what they want. Open borders again, like during the Biden administration, where they tried to get away with as much as they possibly could. So they want more of American victims of these failed policies. That's what they want. It's not even saying the quiet part out loud. She's being very, very open about what they want. When your enemies say who they are, believe them. This is what she wants to do. This is what they want to do. Let me know if you guys think Swalwell's going to survive this latest scandal. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, Washington State has a race and sexuality-based business favorability program. Yes, just when you thought you heard it all with all the other discriminatory practices they have, we found a new one for you. Give you all the details coming up next. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I remember when I had my business of the event rental company during COVID, and I'm thinking, well, they shut down all our businesses. They got to give us some kind of help, right? They got to be helping us out with something. And anytime they released one of these grants, one of these programs, it was never anything for regular business owners. You always had to check a few boxes. Not like one box. You always had to check like 10 boxes. Like you had to be a lesbian who's also a Native American, who's also black, who's also something else. Every single time. And I remember, so it's okay for every other business to fail, just not these businesses. We got to save them. Well, I thought all that nonsense was over for a while now. Nope. Our friends over at National Review have a new article out. Washington State presumes certain racial groups to be disadvantaged for particular business certifications. They come with special privileges and benefits. Legal experts say that is likely unconstitutional. And the state's data suggests it is entirely unnecessary. Washington State's Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises, which describes itself as an anti-racist organization committed to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in public contracting and procurement awards, special certificates to small businesses that are owned by racial minorities, women, or LGBTQ identifying individuals below a particular net worth threshold. Once a business owner receives a certification from the agency, he or she automatically qualifies for special benefits, including a low-interest loan program and registration on a state-operated directory that aims to increase diversity in government contracting. The purpose of these certifications, according to the website, is to increase contracting opportunities for certified businesses in state and local governments. So, this program, would you like to know how much it is costing you and me? Would you like to know how much? $371 million. In the most recent report, the agency tracked how much Washington state agencies spent on contracting as a whole, how much was spent specifically on contracts with minorities, and whether each agency met its diversity spending goal. The share of public spending with certified businesses has grown by 1.5 percentage points in a decade, with state agencies and public schools spending $371,937,324 with certified businesses in 2025, an increase of over $150 million inflation-adjusted dollars since 2016. You're not going to see any of it. Well, you might see it before you put it in the envelope and mail it to the government. Or you might see it in your bank account before you electronically transfer it to your accountant to pay your taxes. That's it. That's the only time you're actually going to see this money. This is flat-out discrimination and needs to be investigated for fraud and needs to be investigated for civil rights violations. Absolutely. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Paul in Puyallup. Paul, what's going on?
Hey, some addition and subtraction for you.
Okay.
1968. I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We landed on the moon.
Yeah.
We brought back rocks. We left the moon rover up there a couple years later. Now it's 57 years later. And what do we have? We have a rocket that went through space and came back home. Wow. Yay.
So what you're saying is you are unimpressed with the Artemis mission. Is that what you're saying, Paul?
I would just watch that because they're not home yet.
Right. Yeah. First of all, Paul, we have about an hour until they're supposed to splash down. We've seen that go wrong before. So let's wait to make fun of them till they're home. Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
But second of all,
I got another.
Well, hang on 1 second, Paul. Let me address this before some people start calling me up and yelling at me for being anti-American or whatever it is. Okay. So here's the thing: is that you're not wrong, but to get to the next level of this, you got to make sure you could actually test your equipment and do it again. So realize that part of this thing is not just landing on the moon. They're supposed to be setting up a colony on the moon, which they didn't do last time. Last time it was rocks, more rocks, bring us more rocks. And then they stopped going to the moon after Apollo 13 and a few other problems and funding issues. So this time, this is supposed to be now we get the moon, then we get Mars. So we hope it's more than that, but I hear the point. What's next?
Yeah, add and subtract,
yes.
Okay? Let's just take the average gas station. They have 3 tanks, generally 20,000, but if you go to the big C guys, which is Costco, they have 29,000-gallon tanks, 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So let's just take an average of 30,000 gallons. So on Monday, they filled up 90,000 gallons of gas. That gas was sitting there on Tuesday when they jacked up the prices. This is all throughout the whole world by about 25 cents to 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add up all the gas stations that are in the world and times it by 25 to 50 cents, you'll find out how much they made. And then the gas that they brought in, because the stuff that they got from the other distribution centers and stuff are still the same gas that they paid, let's just say $3. Now it's $4.
Yeah.
They didn't have to pay any more money for the stuff, and they've made X amount of dollars. I just don't understand this stuff because I thought that the president said we were self-sufficient in the United States for oil and gas.
Absolutely. You are 100% correct. Now, when you talk about global markets with regard to gas, you know that states like California get a lot of their gas from other places because California has made it so difficult for them to get their own stuff. Now, when they have an issue and they need to run back home, our production ramped up for what we needed at the time. It hasn't ramped up for all the other people to come running to us and say, we want more of that. This is what you get with a global market. So you're not wrong, Paul. This shouldn't be affecting us as much as it is. But here's the other problem. Let's say you ramp up and ramp up and ramp up, and then demand goes way down. Now you take a huge loss. Think of the tech companies that ramped up during COVID and then had to fire a whole bunch of people. that's what could happen next. So you're not wrong, but with a global market, you have to factor that in as well. Appreciate the call, Paul. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here from the 206. Hey, Ari, this is Tim Walsh. To answer your recently posed question, I think sadly, no, Eric Swalwell will not be held accountable, simply because he's a Democrat, and I hardly ever see Democrats held responsible for anything. Normally, I would agree with you, Tim. Normally, I would 100% agree with you. But the teachers union dumping its support, the other members of Congress dumping their support, I think it's bye-bye, see ya, sayonara.
Remember old Wiener? They ran him out, too.
That's right. They get rid of him when you can't debate it, when you can't deny it. Now, I will say the San Francisco Chronicle releasing the story today, they did that intentionally.
Yeah.
The last day of a holiday week.
The other guy, too, is old Honka, the guy from SNL.
Oh, so from SNL. What was his name?
Yeah.
Al Franken. Yeah, you got rid of him.
They got rid of him.
He's gone.
He was just doing air quotes.
Yeah. Oh, wow, Kevin. Wow.
I kid.
And they're worried about me being the shock jock, and I got you over there causing problems. Yeah, it's when you can't spin it. That's when it's gone. And also, they'll forgive you of one thing. Al Franken had something else. I forget what it was. He had other issues, and then that came up.
Yeah.
There was something else going on. So, like Al Sharpton, sure, you can lead a lynch mob and kill one person and start some riots in Crown Heights, and you can still have a show on MSNBC. But if there's something else on top of that, then we get rid of you. So, Eric Swalwell, Fang. That's right. That's your one. That you get one. You get one, and he got the Fang. In more ways than one. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Gerald in Federal Way. Gerald, what's up?
Yeah, going back to Iran here, I wish President Trump would just sum things up and say, I'm not happy with higher gas prices, but between that and cleaning up nuclear fallout in your backyard, assuming your house is still there and you're not dead, I felt it necessary to prevent Iran from using a nuclear weapon, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Now I need to finish the job. If I had to show my detractors that I gave them a chance to reform, but now you can further see that they can't be trusted because unlike communists who want to live, they are religious fanatics who will keep resisting them to death. No one else has had the courage to do this so far.
Yep, I completely agree with you. I think it's just, hey, guys, they want to kill us all. They want to kill every single one of us. And here's a montage of everything they said. Why to kill every single one of us? We think stopping that is probably a good thing. Appreciate the call, Gerald. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. More news on Swalwell. He's allegedly accused of getting staffers drunk to the point of blacking out, then sleeping with them. So he did the Bill Cosby. I'm sorry, allegedly. No, wait, Bill Cosby did go to jail for that. We don't have to say allegedly, right? Yeah, he's not surviving this politically. Not going to happen. Up next, is Turd Ferguson going to survive the latest lawsuit coming his direction? We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, some Democrats are turning on turd Ferguson, and Michael J. Fox slams CNN for declaring him dead. Turns out he is very much not dead. So CNN, fake news again. But before we get to any of that, my friends, now is your chance to win $2,000 in cold, hard cash. Gas prices are super, super expensive right now for a combination of factors. Never mind how much the gas tax is here. So you need some money to pay your bills, because when the gas prices go up, everything else goes up too. And that's why we are so happy that our in-house Pink Floyd cover band is here to give us the right mood music for you to win your chance to win $2,000 cash. So all you have to do is text the word "we give you" to the number we give you. Not your name, not your phone number, not your email address, nothing else. If you win, we will find you and we will pay you. So today's word is
Trip.
Trip.
T-R-I-P.
As in, you could take a trip to the gas station. You could take a trip to the grocery store. Text the word TRIP, T-R-I-P, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. And who knows, you might win $2,000 cash. And you know what, my friends? You're going to need it. Cairo 7 had a really good breakdown about how much money from what you pay at the pump goes to your taxes. And I'm happy. I want to give Cairo 7 credit for this, because normally when you see these stories, it's always, look what Trump's war is doing to your gas prices. Look what those oil companies are doing to your gas prices. Well, this was a pretty good breakdown from our friends over at Cairo 7.
As well. Last month, the governor of Georgia suspended that state's gas tax. Now, we've heard this question from you. Why isn't Washington doing the same? Cairo 7's Brandon Thompson took that question to state leaders.
The price you pay at the pump is breaking records in our state. Our gas is more expensive than our neighbors, and there is a lot that goes in to that price. At the fuel farm in Auburn,
it's been a while since it's gone up this quickly.
Jeff Small is checking gas prices several times a day. Why are you guys setting prices every day?
Prices are changing that rapidly. What's in the ground could be different than the price we get tomorrow.
Jeff runs this family business, owning 10 gas stations and delivering fuel to dozens more.
And we have to use diesel in our trucks to move diesel around. So it costs us twice as much now to move the diesel around, fuel-wise, than it did, a couple months ago.
No matter how high the price goes,
whether diesel is $3 a gallon or $7 a gallon, we as distributors make the same amount of money.
He's paid by the gallon. He also has stations and customers in Idaho where AAA reports gas is more than $1 cheaper per gallon.
All that fuel comes out of Spokane because there's no terminal up there. Everybody in Washington's getting that same fuel from Spokane. Everybody in Idaho and the Panhandle is getting that same fuel. The solid difference is taxes.
AAA tracked gas at $5.37 to end last week. Small gave us this breakdown of the cost from industry firm Opus. 55 cents of that is the state's gas tax. Another 18, that's the federal gas tax. There are some smaller taxes. Then there's the cap and trade through Washington's Climate Commitment Act. It fluctuates, but to end last week, it added another 55 cents for a total of $1.37 added to each gallon of gas in Washington.
$1.37 in taxes. Hey, Jay Inslee, I thought the Climate Commitment Act was only going to pennies. Just going to add pennies. 55 cents is not pennies, my friend. A lot of pennies make 55 cents a gallon. Let's remember the Democrat slush fund. Kudos to Cairo 7 for calling this out, by the way.
Last month, Georgia's governor signed a bill suspending the state's gas tax for 60 days, with other states considering to follow suit. We wanted to know what our leaders like Governor Ferguson are thinking. We first asked the governor weeks ago.
Well, have you given any consideration to a gas tax holiday?
Have I given any consideration to it? There's lots of things that are being considered.
Okay, hang on. You know that's a stalling tactic, right? Where you're trying to come up with the answer, you repeat the question. That's what you repeat the computer, like in the Galaxy Quest, right? That's what it is. Oh, are we considering it? How about no? That's what that was. No, he's not considering it at all. He's not getting rid of his slush fund. That's Turd Ferguson. He's going to blame Donald Trump. Why would he get rid of it? He can blame Donald Trump for it. And dumb people will fall for it. He can blame Donald Trump for it. He's never going to do that. He's never going to give up the opportunity to blame Donald Trump for something.
And followed up several times last week, seeing if there's any comment that Governor Ferguson has on either suspending the gas tax or any other relief for people, but no response. Meantime, at the federal level...
Wait a second. He's freezing out the lamestream media, too? He's not just freezing us out? Oh, if you ask a bad question, then the turd doesn't get back to you. Then he just flushes himself real quickly out of the way, and he's not going to tell you anything. Yeah, not going to say a word about that, because all these other governors are doing it. It's not only in red states, it's some blue states, too. And now they're talking about, oh, well, Bob Ferguson isn't answering our questions. Why do you think that is? He'd rather see you suffer. He'd rather see you pay more at the pump so he can blame Donald Trump. So he has it to help Democrats going into the midterm elections. So he doesn't take away that talking point. Notice that's exactly what's going on. This is purely political.
Should the federal gas tax have a gas holiday?
I think we should federally start looking at a lot of solutions.
But until then, the price at the pump just keeps climbing.
If something doesn't happen over in the Middle East, if some things don't calm down, then we could be in for a rough summer for sure.
Well, that was Brandon Thompson reporting there. Now, we're going to keep pressuring our leaders to see what they can do to help you out as prices hit record highs and keep going up. We have been tracking prices since the war started.
You know the question that Cairo needs to ask next? I think the Cairo 7 needs to ask the question. Why have you failed to hit any of your climate goals with your Climate Commitment Act tax? What good is it actually doing if you're not hitting your climate goals, and you have never hit your climate goals? Where exactly is the money going? Oh, it's going to a giant slush fund where some of your Democrat buddies are actually profiting off this thing? Isn't that fraud? Oh, wait. They don't want to answer that question, do they? No, they don't want to answer that question. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from our friend Transit Joe. Transit Joe, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, man, is we have a great Climate Commitment Act that is helping, if you believe all the signage and all the stickers and all the buses up here in Skagit County, it helps fund Skagit Transit so people with disabilities can get around.
Hang on,
really
Joe, I know this is important to you, but I got to ask you a real question. Buddy, because I know you're smarter than this. So did they have buses in Skagit County before the Climate Commitment Act?
Yes, but repealing the act would cause harm to Skagitonians.
But hang on. How are they paying for it beforehand?
There wasn't enough money to go around to meet all the needs of our people.
Okay, so that's a different problem. Okay? That has nothing to do with the climate whatsoever. That is an excuse that they use so that people will support it who take mass transit. But mass transit is not actually better for the climate, because if you do the math on Sound Transit's latest project, which went across the bridge, which I know how excited you are, and I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to get back to you about that. But here's the thing, okay? You will never offset the carbon you blew building that sucker, ever. It will not happen in his lifetime of this thing.
Okay, Sound Transit gets very little to no money from the Climate Commitment Act because it's a separate agency, and the things that we get from the Climate Commitment Act include funding for children to ride free on local transit like King County Metro and Skagit Transit.
Wait. How does that help the climate?
By allowing working families to ride transit without paying regressive fares.
Joe, if you had kids right now, would you let a 5-year-old ride the bus alone right now or light rail alone right now?
I would allow a 15-year-old, but not a 5-year-old.
I don't let my 15-year-old do that. Okay. I don't, Joe. I'm not questioning your potential parental availability, competence. That's not what I'm questioning. But I'm saying is that right now they put all this money out there. It's not getting spent. if you look at the money they actually spend on this stuff, it's not getting spent. So where's it going?
Well, they sure are spending the money at Skagit Transit, and other transits are spending the money. Frankly, I'll be honest with you and your listeners. I would be unlike Governor Bobby Ferguson, the weakest governor we've ever had. I would be all for turning down the temperature a bit and having a transit commitment act that would be collect less money overall, but fund just public transit with less of the some of these questionable projects.
Watch this. If Sound Transit was actually accountable, and if Sound Transit ran on time and on budget, I would have less of a problem with the car tabs thing. But they never run on time, they never run on budget, and they're not accountable to any of us. And now they're talking about how to solve this West Seattle Ballard business when they created this mess in the first place. And the problem is, what happened to all that money that was supposed to go to infrastructure? What happened to all that money? We have the 48th worst roads in the U.S. So what happened to all that money? They are not good stewards of our money, either for your transit or for my roads. They are not good stewards and should not be trusted. Joe, have a wonderful weekend, my friend. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Well, there's some good news. The lawsuit we told you which was coming against the income tax has finally been filed, and now it's bipartisan. Now, we knew that former Attorney General Rob McKenna was going to be the lead lawyer on this, and here is him on behalf of the Citizen Action Defense Fund, who are my lawyers as well in our press pass battle, doing a press conference yesterday, laying out what the lawsuit is all about.
I think it's very telling that Bob wants to personalize this and doesn't want to address the legal issues involved here. He was Attorney General. He's a lawyer. He understands what it means to have plain language in the Constitution and to have a series of Supreme Court decisions. This is not a boxing match. This is an important question of law, but he doesn't want to talk about the law. Instead, he signed into law a bill that clearly violates the law today, which is why he and the legislators who voted for it need the Supreme Court to change the law for them. And as of the day they voted for it, it was illegal. It violated the Constitution. And unlike former governors like Dan Evans, who had the courage and political skill to put together a coalition to put this to the voters as a constitutional amendment, Governor Ferguson was unable to do that. And the legislature was unable to come up with the votes to send a constitutional amendment to the voters either. Instead, Governor Ferguson and the legislature are working hard to keep this issue away from the voters. And all voters ought to be very concerned about that.
Do you know why Rob McKenna answered that question the way he did, specifically going after Bob Ferguson? So you've got a law that is unconstitutional. You cannot argue that the income tax, the millionaire tax, is constitutional. It's not. Just like property taxes, you have to tax everybody at the same rate. You can't just go after the millionaires. Plus, you had people in Washington vote a minimum of 10 times against an income tax. You have had the court rule multiple times against an income tax like this. So there's no way this thing is constitutional. When Bob Ferguson was asked at a press conference about it, he took a jab at Rob McKenna. Took a jab at him. So Rob McKenna is just replying in kind. And you know what the crazy thing is here also? Jim Brunner from the Seattle Times decided to ask about, well, other states are going against other precedents like abortion. So isn't this just like the same thing they're doing? Which I'm like, the Seattle Times is such garbage. Absolute garbage. One, this is not a national case. This is a local case. It is not going to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's not overturning that precedent. Second of all, it's about income tax, which is clearly unconstitutional. The Democrats have said, yeah, we know it's unconstitutional. Manka Dhingra has said she knows it's unconstitutional, and they're doing it anyway. Now, something fascinating about this, Washington Supreme Court Justice Phil Talmadge, who is a Democrat, is now joining the case with Rob McKenna. Here's what he said.
The communities we're talking about are people that are largely small businesses that are aspirational. They want to grow. They want to expand their businesses, and they want to generate, significant income. So they do that. And what's the response from the state? Well, we're going to not only tax you in your business capacity, but we're going to tax you on your income. And they're concerned about that. I mean, it's a problem for them, and it's something that is a deterrent for them to do greater achievement than they've already done and have proven over the years. The Hispanic folks and people from the Asian Pacific community both have been remarkable in their efforts to take a piece of the American dream and run with it.
That's a Democrat. By the way, he supports an income tax. He just doesn't support it being done this way. And it's amazing to me the coalition they have put together to oppose this thing. You have such a broad coalition. You've got small business owners. You've got farmers. You've got Democrats. You've got Republicans. You've got all different groups opposing this thing. If the Democrats, or I should say, if the pawns of the Democrats on the Washington State Supreme Court uphold this tax or anything of that nature, then you know the system is rigged. Then you know it's completely rigged. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Mike in Everett. Mike, what's going on?
When my family moved into Lake Stevens in 1975, late 1975, beginning of 76, I used to take community transit all the time. I was 12, 13 years old. The buses were clean. The bus drivers kept order on the bus. There wasn't anything that was bad. The buses used to have lots of riders on them. I retired in 2020 from Boeing. And several times when I worked at Boeing, I would ride the bus to a friend's house right from the factory instead of driving. However, I went 2 years ago and rode the bus to Arlington, and I couldn't believe how filthy they were and the type of people that were on them. I would not let anybody under 18 ride the bus if it was me.
Yeah, so I grew up riding the trains in New York, and I saw the transition from when David Dinkins was mayor of New York to when Rudy Giuliani became mayor of New York, and I watched everything get cleaned up around me, whereas the trains were my preferred method of transportation back then, because also it's insane to drive a car into Manhattan. And I loved taking the train, and Grand Central was so nice and so clean. It had laser light shows, and they'd cleaned out all the homeless and cleaned the whole place up. The last time I was in New York, I couldn't believe how disgusting they had gotten. And if you want to see something terrifying, Mike, I can go find it on social media, but it's there. They released new video of that guy almost getting pushed in front of one of the trains on the light rail. And what's crazy about it, it's from the conductor's perspective. So you see what he saw. Imagine if that guy had been run over by the train, and you got to live with that image in your head the rest of your life. You got to see that thing. The video is horrifying. I recommend you check it out. Mike, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Got time for one more quick call before the break. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Corey in Bellevue. Corey, what's up, man?
Ari, I agree with you on Iran. We need to seize Cargo Island to cut off their economy. We need to get the Straits of Hormuz secured. Both those areas are difficult for Iran to get troops to from where they're at, but we must secure the areas where they refine the uranium. We must secure any refined uranium they already have. The other two are good, but it is essential that we get the production facilities. The good news for us is because Iran has ethnic minorities in a bunch of areas. The Cargo Island is isolated from the mainland of Iran. It's difficult for them to put military force there. The Straits of Hormuz are actually in areas that have ethnic minorities. And again, their military force would be exposed to our attacks going into the area, making it easier for our troops to secure the area. And even where they have those nuclear production facilities are so isolated that for them to put troops in the area exposes them to our attacks. So we can basically grab and hold the area, make them come to us, and make it in our favor tactically. But we need to resolve this in the next 3 to 6 months.
I think we need to resolve this in the next month. I think we do, because public opinion moves a lot faster than it did in other wars. We're seeing this stuff on TV. Trump's getting it from the right and the left. I think we need to resolve that, and I think that's kind of why he agreed to the 2-week ceasefire, because it can move more pieces into place to do exactly what you're talking about, Corey. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, some Democrats are turning on Bob Ferguson because he vetoed a bunch of stuff in the budget that were their pet projects. Well, if you're blowing all these billions of dollars, why can't you pay for their projects? Watching the left eat its own is delicious. We'll give you the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. We have 2 chances to win fantabulous prizes today. Don't forget, we are giving away 4 tickets to go to the Washington State Fair. That's right. We were out there today for Military Friday. We're going to be out there. Sorry, Spring Fair. We're going to be out there next Friday as well. And hopefully this time I'll be on time. So I'll be out there next Friday as well. That's right. Kevin and I had some fun out there meeting everybody today. There's rides, there's animals, there's food, there's free exhibit, there's scones, there's motorsports, and new fair spaces all in one iconic location. Plus, our friends from the Republicans are collecting signatures for voter ID. So you can head on over to the Republican booth and do that as well. So we're there for Military Appreciation Fridays, which is free admission for all active, reserve, and retired military, disabled veterans, and their dependents when each shows a valid military ID at any fair gate. So if you want to be entered to win these fantabulous prizes, head on over to kvi.com. Enter all the information we ask for your chance to win four tickets to the Washington State Spring Fair. And if you win them this week, who knows? You might get to come see me and Kevin for free next Friday when we're out there. So be lots of fun. And thank you to everybody who came out today to visit us. Had some entertaining political discussions. Great to meet so many of you in person. It was really just a lot of fun. Well, a lot of people are really, really mad at Bob Ferguson. And I don't mean Republicans. According to the Washington State Standard, a week after Washington Governor Bob Ferguson signed a nearly $80 billion budget, questions remain as to why he vetoed two grants that amounted to a molecule of the spending plan. Ferguson and Democratic lawmakers slashed millions of dollars from child care and education. Wait. These are the very things he's blaming Donald Trump for. But he did it. And siphoned hundreds of millions of dollars from emergency reserves to cover a projected $2.3 billion shortfall and balance the budget that runs through mid-2027. Oh, also, let's not forget he raided the pension funds and did a whole bunch of other shady stuff. He slashed Medicaid, slashed Medicare, slashed a whole bunch of stuff. He agreed with those big-ticket pieces of a deal hammered out by Democratic budget writers. Wait, where's the Republicans? Oh, wait, you mean the Democrats did this all on their own and no Republicans voted for it? So they slashed Medicare, they slashed Medicaid, they slashed child care, they slashed education, but they're going to blame Donald Trump for it. That's why his decisions to veto $300,000 for the Primetime Family Reading Program and $500,000 for an organized retail crime enforcement effort baffled the intended recipients of those funds. Saving from those cuts amounted to roughly 0.001% of the budget, barely higher than Bluto's GPA from Animal House. Quote, "We were just stunned. We were blindsided," said Judy Ziegler, Executive Director of Humanities Washington, which runs the family reading program. There was no outreach beforehand from the governor or his staff to learn about the program. Though it's a small amount, it has an outsized impact on thousands of kids. Do you know why they did that? So that Bob Ferguson, so that Turd Ferguson himself can claim, well, you know, we had to make some hard cuts, and everybody's got to pinch their pennies and tighten their belts and whatever other analogy I got to come up with because it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I didn't cut the $4.3 million we spent on trans surgeries for convicted felons. We didn't spend the millions. We didn't cut the millions of dollars we spent on laser hair removal for trans inmates. We didn't cut the money we spent in the Arts Commission for the self-service stations for men. But that reading room just had to go. Had to go. Representative Mary Levitt, Democrat of University Place, said she was deeply disappointed and puzzled by the governor's axing her funding request to fight retail crime. She said these resources would have addressed real and dangerous retail crime actions in local jurisdictions for the state. Now, here's something about the retail crime for a second. Let's say it prevents, let's just call it, $400 million worth of theft. Let's say it's something like that. She asked for $500,000. That is a definite return on investment because if somebody walks out and steals something, they're not paying tax on it. And because they're not paying tax on it, the state's not getting the money for it. So actually something like that could turn around and help out the economy. But that's what Bob Ferguson cut because Bob Ferguson doesn't actually like enforcing the law at all. Ferguson told reporters after signing the budget that no cut or veto is easy to make. At the same time, we've got a budget to balance. You didn't balance the budget. It's still got another $1 billion gap in it. You didn't actually balance the budget. So I have a question. Does this mean Representative Mari Levitt felt like she'd been had? Everybody else got what they wanted. How come not her? I think this is a bit of a sign to her because she's kind of vocal on social media and she speaks out against the Democrats from time to time. I think this was a shot across the bow. Oh, that's a nice little retail theft program you have there. Be a shame if anything happened to it. That's kind of what that sounds like right there. Meanwhile, these aren't the only shenanigans going on in Washington. This one here from the Yakima Herald, the Washington Supreme Court weighed in on a judge's forging of a document to secure cheaper parking, deciding on Thursday to remove him from the bench. David Razuma was working as a pro tem or temporary judge in King County District Court in 2023 when he allegedly created a fraudulent document with a judicial stamp, gave it to a parking attendant to obtain a discounted parking rate for county employees. He argued the incident was an ill-advised joke and he was entitled to the discount. The document used another judge's stamp without permission, according to the majority slip opinion issued Thursday. He admitted making the fake document, but argued his conduct warranted no more than an admonishment. Okay, here's what I don't get. You get judges' license plates. My step-grandfather was a Supreme Court judge in New York, in Brooklyn. And he had the plates, and he asked me one time what I wanted for my birthday when I turned 18. And I said, can I have your license plates? And he was a very by-the-book kind of guy, so I didn't get his license plates. But he goes, why do you want my license plates? I go, for your free parking, of course. And he said, I don't get free parking. I go, have you ever got a ticket for parking? And he said, no. I said, you get free parking. That's why. And he goes, no, that's because I follow the law. I go, no, it's because you have judges' plates. You don't get tickets because they know you ain't going to pay no tickets. But yeah, so he used the judge's stamp without permission. If this was just the shenanigans this guy's claiming, you know, it would have happened. The other judge would have been like, look, it was all in good humor. It was only $10. Instead, the other judge goes, he stole my stamp. He stole my stamp and he stamped his little paper. This wasn't a joke. He stole my stamp to save $10. Cheap, you know what? Up next, my friends, more people are pushing back against the Democrats' insane policies. And 2 high school-age girls have more courage than every single Democrat in elected office. We'll tell you who they are and what they're all about when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.
There are 2 girls who I am going to say there are 2 women who have more guts than most politicians in Washington because they have stood up against all the insanity which is trying to attack girls' sports. And that's Annalee Wilson and Frances Stout. And they have gone head-to-head with Chris Rakedahl and Governor Bob Ferguson. And what's interesting to me is Chris Rakedahl, who's the superintendent of public instruction, actually agreed to meet with them. And they had their meeting just a couple weeks ago where they sat down and basically told him to his face what they've been saying at Let's Go Washington events, trying to defend women's sports. Joining us now on the Warrior Injury Law Studio line is Annalee Wilson and Frances Stout. Thanks so much for being with us today, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
So, Francis, I'll start with you because we've had Annalie on the show before, but I think this is the first time we've had you on the show. So, how did this meeting come to be? What started all this?
So we have been asking for many times, speaking with Let's Go Washington and asking him to meet with us, and we never heard a response. And there came a time where there was an interview with, I believe, Carlene Johnson, and she said, well, would you meet with these girls who have been asking you to meet? And because he kind of set himself up and said, I meet with students all the time. And we kind of were like, well, why won't you meet with us? And so then he kind of was put on the spot and agreed to meet with us finally. And we wrote emails, and finally we got the meeting that we've been asking for a very long time.
Incredible. So, Annalie, you guys have said a lot of stuff out there publicly. It's a lot different when the person's sitting right in front of you. Was there that feeling in the pit of your stomach, or did you walk in there completely convinced in your convictions and say, okay, time to confront this guy?
I was a little nervous, but I mostly was just kind of like excited to just lay it down and tell him what I thought and just like get it out there. But I definitely had a little bit of butterflies, but they went away pretty quick because I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm here to talk to him and tell him what I think. So
what did you say to him, Annalie?
I asked him, I'm trying to remember specifically what I asked him, but I'm pretty sure it was something about like what he thought about this issue, and especially having daughters and stuff. Yeah, something like that.
Gotcha. Which is basically like with Bob Ferguson. Hey, your daughter doesn't have these problems because they go to private school, yet you're doing this kind of stuff to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So, Francis, what'd you say to him when you spoke to him?
I believe the first thing I said is, do you think that I deserved to be investigated for bullying and harassment for calling a man a man? And he didn't know what to say. He was very uneducated on the whole situation regarding what happened to me. But I came in there mad because I've been asking for a long time. He's publicly said that I used derogatory language towards the individual that this happened with, when the man that I called a man referred to himself as a man to everyone. He admits that he is a man. And so I said, do you think when he refers to himself as a man and I called him a man, do you think that that deserved for me to be investigated for harassment and bullying for misgendering the individual? And he couldn't even give me that answer. And I asked for an apology, a public apology, because he said that on he said that on public record that I used derogatory language, and many people have brought that up to me, and that's awful that he goes and says things without being educated. He told us that he read it out of a newspaper, and that kind of was pretty disappointing because as the state superintendent, you shouldn't go saying things about your students without knowing the actual situation. So I kind of started off with that, and we got into it a little bit. But, I think the only one who was made a fool of was him, because we were not in the wrong in anything.
So this is the crazy thing to me. Let's just go over your story for a second here, Francis. So you said you weren't going to play in a game against a biological male. It's dangerous. And as I've mentioned at the events that we've all been at together for Let's Go Washington, I'd worry about my own daughter competing under those circumstances because we've seen what's happening across the country. And in response to this, they had an investigation into you. They made all these accusations against you and put you in the wrong. And then to say he got it out of a newspaper when I know that me and Brandy and others have been fact-checking outlets like the Seattle Times because they've been wrong on so many things.
Yes.
They've literally made things up from nowhere, manufactured details that never, ever happened before. So he's saying he got all this from a newspaper, and it seems like clearly he didn't prep for this meeting. It seems like,
Not at all.
correct me if I'm wrong on this, Francis, it seems like the two of you walked in there were more prepared than he was.
We 100% were. We knew the stories, we knew the facts, and we even asked him with there's been a thing going around that's only 10 individuals or 10 people are more transgender athletes or individuals. And I asked him, I said, where did you get that information? And he said, well, the WIA did a more vague counting of who's on varsity sports and who is competing in that. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter about who's on the varsity sports. It's very, you would think that with the claims that have been made and the statements that have been said, that someone would be more educated on the actual facts. And especially as someone who is in a position as he was, that's embarrassing to go and say that about, at the time, me being a 15-year-old girl, saying the things that he said, and then saying, well, I wasn't completely aware of the situation. Maybe you should check up on the situation, because that is wrong to go and say things about a 15-year-old girl, let alone any other girl who is uncomfortable with it, and not know the facts. So I think that he has many resources to get the facts. He just doesn't want to, because he knows it's wrong and he doesn't want to have to make a comment on that when he's been doing a great job of making us look like the villain, or saying that it isn't going on or it isn't a big deal. But I think if once he actually reads what is going on and all the girl stories and all the things that are happening, then it is going to make it a lot harder for him to deny what's actually going on in Washington.
In the last few minutes, we have Francis Stout and Annalee Wilson, who are challenging Washington's discriminatory policies regarding girls' sports. Annalee, I'll pivot back over to you for a second. Where do you girls go from here? Because you had the meeting with Raikdal. From what you've told me just now, it seems like he wasn't prepared for this meeting. Are you expecting anything after this? Is there supposed to be any follow-up? Is there supposed to be a meeting with Bob Ferguson? What's supposed to come after this?
So I'm guessing that nothing's really gonna happen with Chris Reichdahl after this. I mean, I don't think he's just gonna pivot his whole direction and decide, you know what, I think you're right. Unfortunately, that'd be great if he did that, but I don't think he's going to. So I don't think there's going to be a follow-up meeting with him. And then the governor. We've been trying to meet with him. We've asked in all of our speeches, especially Francis has made it very clear, like, we want to meet with you, meet with us. And I've asked to meet with him several times. He hasn't said anything, so I'm not sure. There's no meeting currently planned, so I guess we'll see.
If this helps you girls out at all, Bob Ferguson, a couple months ago, this new movie with Leonardo DiCaprio came out called One Battle After Another, and the main character's name was Bob Ferguson. So he went with the Seattle Times to see the movie, not to talk politics, not anything else. So you might want to say in your next email, if you're willing to go with the Seattle Times to see a movie, do you have time with us to actually discuss girls' sports, which might affect your daughter here in Washington? Might be an idea for you.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay. Annalee Wilson and Francis Stout, you guys are absolutely incredible. You are fantastic. Keep up the good fight. Everybody is so, so proud of you. You're doing a great job. And I have to say, you have more guts than most of the politicians here in Washington. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.
So after my Jewish holidays, I always come back online like Johnny Five in Short Circuit. Input, need input. And I'm looking at everything. And when I load up my browser, I use Bing because you get reward points for it. Not because it's an especially good browser, but you get reward points, so why wouldn't you use Bing? So it always has the news at the bottom. And at the bottom, it's got a picture of Michael J. Fox, and the headline is, actor says he's not dead. Wait, what did I miss? Apparently yesterday, CNN and MSNBC, or CNN, excuse me, CNN reported that Michael J. Fox was dead. And they had the headline, Remembering the Life of Actor Michael J. Fox. So Michael J. Fox posts on Threads, which I didn't know anybody used Threads. I thought Threads was dead. He wrote, how do you react when you turn on the TV and CNN is reporting your death? Do you A, switch to MSNBC or whatever they're calling themselves these days, pour scalding hot water on your lap, if it hurts, you're fine, C, call your wife, hopefully she's concerned but reassuring, D, relax, they do this once every year, E, ask yourself, WTF, I thought the world was ending, but apparently it's just me and I'm okay. Love, Mike. How do you get that wrong? How do you blow that? I mean, look, we've all seen the thing on social media where somebody's name is trending and they're a little on the older side or they're a little on the sicker side. And then you see that meme of Denzel Washington patting his chest and being like, oh, thank God, they're not dead. What happens when one day Denzel Washington dies and you can't post that meme anymore? That's going to be a problem.
You know, this gives you a little peek on how the sausage is made, because you know they're sitting on a bunch of these pre-written articles for people that they think are close to taking the nap. And someone probably just fat-fingered something and clicked the wrong thing.
Yep.
Meaning to send another pre-written article about something else and just was like, whoops, wrong Michael.
You know what's funny about these? Whenever there's one of these like 48-hour off for me for the Jewish holidays or 72 hours off for the Jewish holidays, I have a bet with my kids. I go, which celebrity do you think is dead after this, right? And there wasn't one last time. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, we're due for it. There's got to be somebody. And I click and I go, oh, my God, is Michael J. Fox dead? Nope. Came close, though. Came close, though. But you don't remember that skit from Saturday Night Live from years ago? Dana Carvey is playing one of the old school news anchors. I forget which one. And
Koppel?
No,
Ted
it wasn't.
Koppel?
It wasn't Koppel. He was playing Dan Rathers.
Oh, okay.
He's playing Dan Rathers, and they're pre-recording obituaries for celebrities, and they keep getting more and more insane of who's dead, and then they have him say somebody's dead and you're gay, like covering every kind of base you could possibly imagine. If you haven't seen this before, I'm sure you can find it over on the YouTube. But it's great. Yeah, they do have these things sitting there. How do I know? I wrote one recently. So this summer, I think it was, where Jesse Jackson had the health scare and he's being moved to hospice, but people are like, is he dead? Is he not dead? So I do the night shift for Post Millennial, and one of the editors goes, hey, Ari, can you pre-write the Jesse Jackson's dead in case he kicks the bucket? And I go, sure, with pleasure. I mean, yeah, no problem. We'll handle the Jesse Jackson thing. It'll be sitting there for you in the morning in case you need it. That thing sat there for what, like 3 or 6 months. It sat there till Jesse Jackson actually died. And I remember seeing in where they do the assignments, and they said, hey, can somebody write the Jesse Jackson obituary? I go, guys, just look up his name. It's sitting back there. Just grab it. And it's not the first time I've had to do that. That's exactly how it gets made.
I'm surprised you didn't have one sitting lukewarm, ready to roll for President Carter.
For Jimmy Carter?
Yeah.
Who says we didn't?
I know. I mean, and that one was a long time. That
Well,
was
it
like
was-
he went into hospice and then he came out and then he went
think
back
it was-
in. It was like a year.
Right. Do you know when I think they had us write that one? When you saw the corpse on the table that voted for Kamala Harris, where he said, I'm so excited to vote for Kamala Harris. You're like, that is a mummified dead person. That dude is not alive. That dude is like the dead body that woman brought in trying to get him to sign over her life's possessions, but he's actually dead and she's just moving his hand and nobody's falling for that. I think that's when they had somebody write that one. Yeah, this is what happens in the news business, guys. Sorry, it's morbid. But Michael J. Fox, I know I disagree with him on plenty of political stuff. I know Rush Limbaugh disagreed with him on plenty of political stuff. I happen to like Michael J. Fox as an actor. I mean, he's the lead in my all-time favorite movie, Back to the Future. But I liked everything he was in. I mean, it's kind of sad. I don't want to say cut down in his prime, but the disease really took him out when he was at the top of his game. People forget about his last TV show, which was his show, Spin City, where he played the deputy mayor of New York. I loved that show. And as awesome as it was having Charlie Sheen come in to replace him when he couldn't do it anymore, it wasn't the same. I mean, yeah, you got Heather Locklear, which, you know, well, have you seen her recently? But you had Heather Locklear as part of that whole thing, and that was great. But the show was meant for Michael J. Fox, and it was great. And I loved everything Michael J. Fox was in, even the stuff that wasn't great. I loved everything that dude was in. So, yeah, glad he's okay. So, according to TMZ, CNN had published the tribute on its website, but it was later deleted, and the media outlet had to come out and apologize for the blunder. They said the package was published in error. We had to remove from our platforms and send our apologies to Michael J. Fox and his family, which means it's a package. Okay, in the media world, here's what a package is. A package is you have the highlight reel. He was born in Canada, and he did this. Oh, you know, he suffered from Parkinson's. And the Michael J. Fox Foundation has raised X amount of money over these years. May he rest in peace, and our best wishes to his family, condolences to his family, right? That means it was pre-produced, ready to go. And you're right, Kevin. Somebody just clicked that post and send button.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. However, if you read Michael J. Fox's statement, what's worse about this is he says this happens once a year. So does that mean once a year his reps get a phone call? Hey, is your boss still alive? Can you imagine making that call? That's pretty morbid and awful. I never want to do that one.
I would think, I mean, it sounds like he's got a good sense of humor about it. And
Yeah.
he realizes that, this is terrible to say, in his state,
yes,
that people probably worry about him all the time and are probably thinking like, hey, this is not bode well for a long life. He's aware of that, right? So he probably is like, you know.
He's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
I mean,
unfortunately, I mean, that's how people.
Right. Was it the
think.
Oscars? Was it the Golden Globes where they did that thing, I'm an actor, and they had all these people talk about it? And he was.
If you say so, brother, I don't watch any of that nonsense.
It's the only thing I saw from whatever award show it was, and he gave this thing, and it was pretty funny, but you could tell he's not in the best of shape. It's just
right,
kind of sad.
right.
Yeah. So, anywho, we're glad he's still alive. We're glad he's there. My favorite is right here. Entertainment Weekly actually has the write-up of what CNN had. He came into our living rooms on the small screen each week as Alex P. Keaton on Family Ties. And eventually the big screen is Marty McFly in Back to the Future. But Michael J. Fox, compelling third act as Parkinson's sufferer and stems. They had this ready to go, and it was made a very long time ago. His most lasting role may have been as a tireless voice against Parkinson's, a performance of Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences honored with the Gene Herschel Humanitarian Award in 2022. In the end, Fox came to understand that his battle against the disease brought out the best in him. This was made a very long time ago. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. Artemis is splashing down any minute. We'll give you the details on that. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Sorry, it's Friday. At 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, The Stranger decides to do a hit piece on me, Brandy Cruz, and Jonathan Cho. And it's so entertaining, I actually shared pieces of it. But before we get to any of that, we are waiting for Splashdown from the Artemis crew. Very, very exciting stuff. Actually, over the holiday, when you have 48 hours where you can't watch TV and you can't play computer, it's no phones, no lights, no motor cars, not a single luxury, like Robinson Crusoe. It's primitive as can be, with lots more food. So somebody got my nephew an Artemis Lego toy. Let me just say, Legos have come a long way since we were kids. I think the most advanced Lego I had the Lego Space Shuttle, which was a cool deal. But it didn't really do anything. I mean, it had a little grappling hook and the doors opened and stuff. This sucker that he's got, apparently this is the mini Artemis and there's a bigger Artemis. This one's still 1.5 feet tall. There's a crank on it, and if you build it right, you crank it, and it takes off from the platform. And then as it keeps going, the booster rockets split off. And then if you keep going, the capsule shoots out of the top. Really cool thing. We were showing that off to everybody all weekend. So we are eagerly and hopefully awaiting the safe arrival of the Artemis astronauts. Love that kind of stuff. But we're also tracking this other story which broke today. And since it's a Friday, I'll give you guys a little bit of conspiracy theory on this one. So, sexual harassment allegations have been amplified online by Democrat-aligned politicos targeting Representative Eric Swalwell, one of the leading Democrat candidates in California's gubernatorial race. Now, that's the way Fox News is framing this report from the San Francisco Chronicle, and I wonder if they're thinking the same thing I am. Kevin, when we first were breaking the story, when the news was coming across the wires, not that we broke it, but it was coming across the wires, I started thinking to myself, every Democrat turned on him? That doesn't usually happen. There's got to be a good reason for They let him get away with the fang. Why are they all turning on him now? Keep that question in the back of your mind for a second. Just keep it back there. Bank it for later. Amid repeated denials and cease and desist letters sent by Swalwell's lawyer, one of the alleged victims shared her story publicly for the first time, accusing Swalwell of taking advantage of her while she was intoxicated on multiple occasions, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. The alleged victim's story also included claims that Swalwell pressured her to send naked pictures of herself and sent sexually explicit photos of his own, pulled out his nether regions while driving in a car with her, and requested she do things to him. Now, here's something you need to know. We gave you a peek behind the curtain at the obituaries.
Pulls
right?
out his fang.
Let's just say it didn't swallow well for him. Oh, no. We're bad. Okay, Kevin, if I ran a story that was completely made up and fabricated at KVI.com, I mean, we could get sued for it.
We could call that a Tuesday. Wait, I'm sorry. What? No.
Right. You get in major legal trouble for that kind of stuff. You got to cite your sources. You got to have all that stuff there in case anybody calls you out on it. I've actually been contacted by people, not for KVI, but for post-millennial stuff before, saying, can you correct this? Can you correct that? And I go back and forth whether or not I should based on what they say. Every outlet does that. You know the difference between a real journalist and somebody who's just doing it for clickbait? They don't correct the stuff. My favorite is when the Soros Foundation reaches out for corrections. Those ones always crack me up. They've got somebody who's monitoring that guy's name all the time. A story like this, you do not run unless you have the pictures. You do not run unless you have this confirmed, which means there's probably more women. It's probably not just one. It's probably a lot more. The unnamed because also she's facing legal threats from his team. You don't go forward with that unless you got it, because otherwise the San Francisco Chronicle's getting sued right there alongside her. The unnamed female accuser, who spoke to the San Francisco Chronicle, reportedly worked for Swalwell for about 2 years, revealed that he started pursuing her despite being married. Wait a minute. Do you remember after the Fang debacle that he's like, I'm happily married. I would never do that. Look, I updated my picture to show I have a son and I'm a good family man. Oh, look, he's a baby and I'm holding the bottle and I'm a good family man. Don't believe the Fang stuff. Shortly after she was hired as a 21-year-old staffer in his office, on multiple occasions, the young staffer recalls blacking out from alcohol consumption before waking up naked in his hotel bed with signs things had happened. Swalwell allegedly distanced himself after the incident, and their relationship faded, before reuniting when she no longer worked for him, during which another incident allegedly took place. So the Democrats immediately piled on, one after another. Most recently, Adam Schiff is saying he should pull out of the race, and he's pulling his support from him. Okay, now go with me on this one, guys. Do you think this is a conspiracy, or do you think it's just coincidental timing because they can't defend the guy anymore? Now let me give you, just keep that banked, keep that up in your mind. Now let me give you this. This is from the Mercury News. Republicans Chad Bianco, Steve Hilton still lead the poll of California gubernatorial hopefuls. This is from 3 days ago. Democrat-funded poll shows 2 Republicans ahead, but recent events could shake up the race. This is from 3 days ago. Republicans Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton continue to lead a congested field of Democrats in the California governor's race, according to the latest poll released by the California Democratic Party on Tuesday, April 7th. However, the tracking poll, a constant measurement of voters' attitudes, doesn't bake in President Donald Trump's endorsement of Hilton, a former Fox News host. Trump's endorsement could lessen the chance that Hilton and Bianco, sheriff of Riverside County, finish first and second in the June 2nd primary, which would lock Democrats out of the governorship in a deep blue state. Wait. Okay. This is a top 2 primary, just like we have here in Washington. So what that means is the people who get the most votes in a crowded field advance the general election. Can you imagine if in California 2 Republicans are the ones who advance and no Democrats? Now, there's a bunch of Democrats in this race. You've got Katie Porter, you've got Swalwell, you got a few others. Now, do you think this was the Democrats they probably went to Swalwell a few weeks ago and said, dude, don't do this. We can't lose California. We'll find you something else. Don't do this. And Swalwell goes, are you kidding? I survived Fang. I can survive anything, because he's that egotistical. And they go, don't do this, dude. We're going to get you out of the race one way or another. And then they actually did it. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Looks like now we are getting updates that Artemis has indeed splashed down. They're waiting for the recovery for them to check out and make sure everybody is okay. I think that it looks promising at this point that everybody is okay. We will bring you more details. I love the text we're getting right now. This is great. Larry's texting in. And he wrote, splash down, just like in the 1960s. Getting live picture from inside the capsule also. This is great stuff. This is really, really great stuff. This is America at its absolute best. All the Democrats on the left and all the crazy podcasters on the right screaming and yelling about Iran and all this other stuff. Guys, this is American exceptionalism at its absolute best. At its absolute best. I love this kind of stuff. I really, really do. This is inspiring stuff. I hope President Trump gives a nice address tonight. I know the left will get all mad about it. But this is hopefully really all good news. Looks like everything's okay right now. I'm very excited about this. I love the space stuff. I really, really do. I do not like the media trying to build up the drama by being like, is the heat shield going to hold? Or are they going to catch fire and burn up like the Columbia did? Are they going to explode like the Challenger did? I don't like that, guys. You don't need to remind us of that. Space travel, dangerous enough on its own. You don't need to do that kind of stuff. Speaking of danger, the latest news out of Iran right now is that the Iranians are pulling some shenanigans. They are starting to toll ships that are coming in and out of the Hormuz Strait. I thought it was supposed to be the strait was open. Now, very few, only a handful of ships have actually gone through because the Iranians are trying to toll it. No. That is not how we do this. No, you guys keep messing around, and what's going to happen is President Trump is going to give the go order and take Karg Island, and then we'll take whatever else we want. Because at this point, you cannot negotiate with these terrorists. You cannot. Now, the U.S. negotiating team has touchdown, and you have J.D. Vance, and you have Steve Witkoff, and you've got Jared Kushner. I love that he sent 2 Jews to meet with the anti-Semitic Iranians. He said 2 Jewish Americans. Let's put everything you hate into 2 people right here. We're going to negotiate a deal with the Iranians who say death to Israel, death to America. Let's go. Let's go. I love it. It's great. So basically, this is the last chance. This is where they say to Iran, you want to keep making money off that oil? Because those are some lovely oil fields you got there. You want to keep making some money off them? Or maybe it's, yeah, we're not going to go that way. We're not going to do it. Now, I do love the Democrats losing their minds over this. This is Representative Ro Khanna.
Fairly reasonable. Do you believe that it was not insulting and in violation of everything we believe in to threaten to wipe out 91 million Americans? Would Ronald Reagan have ever done that? Would any other American president have ever threatened to wipe out 91 million people? I don't think Reagan did that at the height of the Cold War.
I guess what I would say
FDR probably didn't do that even when we were fighting Nazism.
What I'm looking at is...
No, but answer that question, Martha. Would FDR have said, let's just wipe out the German people?
I can easily answer your question. I mean, we know who tried to actually wipe out entire populations in World War II.
Yes,
we
Hitler.
know the kind of backbone and spine that it took on the part of the United States of America to end those tyrannies.
With morality.
But what I'm seeing is someone who is
Donald Trump has no morality.
I think you have to...
Okay, can we stop right there for a second? Truman dropped the A-bomb. Not once, but twice. Didn't talk about dropping the A-bomb, just dropped the A-bomb. So would you rather a guy who negotiates and talks about this stuff or the guy who actually drops the A-bomb? Could we be real about this? Barack Obama, very pleasant guy, very nice guy, paid the Iranians billions of dollars to fund terrorism and also droned anybody he didn't like and also sicked his investigators on anybody he didn't like. Can we stop with this nonsense? Can we stop with this? Look, right now, I don't see a difference between what the Democrats are saying and what the podcast first crowd is saying. They're all saying the exact same thing. They're all anti-American. They're all anti-Donald Trump. And now they're all mad because Donald Trump called out Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, Candace Owens in a tweet and said, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? You guys suck. You guys continue to bash this war. And you know what? I was wondering how long this was going to take. Because Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, they're all trying to keep access to Donald Trump in some way, shape, or form. Candace Owens. Okay, we're going to play a new game with Candace Owens. Take whatever she says. And now just imagine it's a bag lady in the street. Would you take it seriously if it was coming from a bag lady with a street, but because she sits behind a camera and a laptop, we take her seriously? So you've got the left saying the same thing as the podcasters. And Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson were still trying to be like they were friends with Donald Trump and they support Donald Trump. Look, we've had President Trump on the show before. I've gone to the White House a couple times. We're getting invited this summer, hopefully for the 250th anniversary. It's going to be nice. It's going to be fun. I have no problem calling balls and strikes on the president when I see an issue. I have said before that I don't like the tariffs, but these guys would never say him by name as if he's not going to notice. Well, now a lot of people have noticed the insanity of Tucker Carlson and others. In fact, CNN even did a poll on Tucker Carlson to show how much support he's losing for all his crazy.
Let's start off with Tucker Carlson, who has been in absolute free fall with Republicans. I mean, just take a look at this. Look at this trend line. Tucker Carlson's net favorable. Back in March of 2024, when he and Donald Trump were very close friends, look at this. He was at plus 54 points. Look at where he is today at only plus 7 points among Republicans, and that includes GOP-leaning independents. I mean, that is a drop of, what, 47 percentage points. My goodness gracious. When you go up against Donald Trump and you want to appeal to the Republican base, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go on the grinder, and that is exactly what has happened to Tucker Carlson, who has absolutely collapsed among Republicans.
So if it is a choice between the president and Tucker Carlson among these voters, what do they basically say?
Yeah, they choose Donald Trump basically every single time. Look at this. Okay, the exact same poll, this UMass Lowell poll. Look at this. Net favorables among Republicans. Again, this is Republicans plus Republican-leaning independents. You see Carlson on the right side of your screen at plus 7 points. Look at where Donald Trump is, at plus 61 points. And this is actually a little bit low for Donald Trump. In other polls around the same time, he was even higher than this. Again, he is crushing Tucker Carlson. What is this? This is a 54-point advantage for Donald Trump over Tucker Carlson when it comes to who is more popular among Republican voters. And of course, this is even just talking about the MAGA base, where Donald Trump is running an approval rating somewhere between 97 and 100%.
Okay, so what does this mean for Tucker Carlson going forward? Say Tucker Carlson wanted to build some kind of a platform where he could run for office, say, president.
Yeah, okay. So you see Donald Trump crushing Tucker Carlson here. Take a look at this. Look at the Kalshi prediction markets when it comes to his chance, Tucker Carlson's chance to be the 2028 GOP nominee for president. It's just 5. When you can put it on one hand, you know it's low. It's just 5% that Tucker Carlson actually has enough support within the GOP, at least those who are putting their money where their mouth is, to actually be the GOP nominee in 2028. Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance are running well ahead of him.
Okay, so again, in this imaginary world, if the prediction markets are wrong, Tucker Carlson were to become a candidate, how might he do?
Okay, why don't we take a look against the most likely Democratic nominee, Gavin Newsom? And this is, I think, so important because it's not just that Tucker Carlson struggles now with Republicans. He is electoral poison when it comes to general electorate. So Gavin Newsom versus potential GOP nominees in the 2028 presidential matchup. Against Tucker Carlson, look at this. Gavin Newsom crushes Tucker Carlson by 11 points. J.D. Vance actually beat Gavin Newsom in this poll by 3. So Tucker Carlson, very much struggling, runs way behind the GOP baseline in the general election as well.
You pick Newsom because he's leading in some of these early polls.
He's the most likely Democratic nominee in the prediction markets.
He is. But that didn't stop Kamala Harris from possibly weighing in about whether or not she's going to run for president again. Here's what she said earlier today.
So are you going to run again in 28?
So, okay,
I tried to be subtle, but I just figured I'd go right
well,
at it.
that's as subtle as Reverend Al Sharpton could ever be. We love you for many things, but not being subtle. Listen, I might. I'm thinking about it.
Oh, please let her run for office. Oh, we could bring back deep thoughts with former Vice President Kamala Harris. Just for that alone to be worth it. And whatever Republicans running against her would probably win by double digits. What do you think? Do you want Kamala Harris running for president? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, my friends, the Seattle Stranger decides to go after me, Randy Cruz, and Jonathan Cho. And in the end, completely beclowns themselves. We'll tell you about this entertaining insanity when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. We're watching on the monitors in the studio as the recovery boats approach the Artemis capsule. Seems like everything's okay. Seems like it's a successful mission. Everything looks good right now. It's like watching the 1960s all over again. I got a question. Maybe some of our former Boeing engineers or space experts can give us a call and let us know what the story is. Can you explain to me why we couldn't do the chopsticks thing with this rocket? Elon Musk did that. Is it not developed yet fully, where you can send it up into space and bring it back yet? I know they're competing agencies. I know one's NASA and one's SpaceX. I don't know the details fully yet. I know we're trying to redo the 1960s here so we can go back to the moon and build a moon base and have an evil layer and all that. But somebody want to explain that one to me? I don't know why we're still doing the whole splashdown business if we could do the chopsticks. Or is it just we need to perfect that technology more and more and more? Let me know. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Switching gears over to this one here. So over the weekend, apparently an article came out about the lawsuit that me, Brandy Cruz, and Jonathan Cho have against the Washington State Capitol Correspondents Association and the fact that the Democrats in Olympia will not give us press passes. First of all, to the Seattle Stranger, which for those of you who don't know is a garbage blog which stopped printing its paper years ago, laid off a whole bunch of their staff recently, and doesn't have much of a paper left anymore.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Exactly.
No. They still print.
They do not.
Yes, they do.
When do they start printing again?
I don't know. Go into any hole-in-the-wall bar in Seattle. And
you sure those aren't old copies sitting there?
Last month. I know there's at least last month.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, I mean,
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I mean, we just had this discussion earlier. I don't mean to correct you on your own show.
That's fine. No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still in print.
If they're still in print, yeah. I yield, sir. I yield, sir. But they claim to be Seattle's only newspaper, and I know that's not true. So that's their shtick. So they write an article now? The hearing was a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago now. We're still talking about this? I mean, the case is still ongoing, but he's talking about it like it's brand new. Okay. He makes comments because this is a guy named John Stang. Let me tell you who John Stang is. I met John Stang once, and it was at the hearing. He had been emailing me, asking me for comment, asking me to do an interview with him. I don't know who this guy is. He says he's a freelancer. I don't know who this guy is. No clue. All I know is he looks like he's what happens when you order Jim Brunner from the Seattle Times on Temu. He's the discount Jim Brunner. That's what it is. And he shows up at this thing. And, Kevin's got something to add.
Sorry,
here.
Don't mean to keep interrupting, but if you'd like the Stranger delivered to your house.
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
It's $10 a month.
Cheaper than the Seattle Times. Still not worth it for either one. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the correction there. So, John Stang has been hassling me for comment. Ignoring. I don't know who you are, freelancer. He introduces himself at the hearing. I say, very nice to meet you. He said something like, I'd love to get comment from you for my story. And I'm like, yeah, talk to my lawyer. They do all the comments. Fine, with the Citizen Action Defense Fund. You can talk to them. So I come back from being offline, and my Google machine goes off, and it says, there's a notification about you. The Stranger has an article about you. Really? Do they now? So what's funny is John Stang, a couple weeks ago, asked me for comment on this whole thing. And he said he was freelancing for The Stranger. Now, I have a long history with The Stranger. The Stranger made it their mission to target me for everything under the sun when I was running for Seattle City Council and wrote the most outrageous articles. So I remember I was really, really mad at the time before I ran for office about the soda tax. So I used to make jokes every week because every week I would go buy soda for my family for Sabbath. And every week I would make a joke about how much gas I was pushing into the atmosphere how much carbon I was pushing into the atmosphere to go buy soda in Renton, driving from Seattle to Renton to buy soda to save money on the soda. And I would put up little jokes like the Millennium Falcon doing the Kessel Run. I'd make all these little jokes. The Stranger treated this like, we got him now. He talks about how he thinks climate change is a joke. Yes, and what else? Like, these are the stories they printed. They even snuck a reporter into my after-election party when I didn't win. Like, you still just got to beat up on the guy who already lost? Fine. I don't like The Stranger. They're a terrible, terrible outlet. But what's funny is when he said he wanted a request for comment for The Stranger, I wrote back, I don't give interviews to anti-Semitic communist rags. said that point blank to him. That's my official comment. He printed it. He printed it in the article. And I'm like, yes, awesome. That is now twice, by the way, twice that somebody has reached out to me with some crazy request for comment, and they actually printed what I said. I think I'm going to make this a habit now. I can't wait for the Seattle Times to reach out on something.
I say we should have Zach pick up a copy of The Stranger for you next time he goes up to the Mecca Cafe for his happy hour cheeseburger that he so frequently does.
Yes.
And say, hey, grab the latest issue.
Oh, great. Well, we'll put it on my desk and you know what? That might be some interesting Oppo research.
Yes.
We'll bring it in here. We'll put it down and we'll look at all the dirty ads they have. Do they still have the dirty ads in the back of it?
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do. Yes, that's what they advertised in The Stranger. My other favorite thing, I don't know if this was meant as a dig or a compliment, but they said, conservative radio host like Rush Limbaugh. Okay, Kevin, if you were going to compare me to anybody else who's been around a lot longer than me, it wouldn't be Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not really. There's not much in common. It's just, let's say this and piss people off because he's that evil, right?
I love that, that they have to also, like, in case you don't know what a conservative talk radio show host is like, let's give you an example.
Right. And in case you didn't have the 30 articles this outlet wrote about the guy, let's give you another example. So, John Stang, whoever you are, you crazy mad scientist-looking fool, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be commenting for your things anymore. So how much did The Stranger pay you as a freelancer? $25? $25 or something like that to get in The Stranger? Yes!
I think you should comment since you said, hey, I don't comment to, what'd you call it again?
Anti-Semitic communist rags.
Yeah, so now, like, put something, get clever with your comments.
Well, I thought that was pretty clever.
Cool Ranch Doritos are my favorite flavor. Print that. Although that's not true. Is there kosher Doritos?
There are kosher Doritos.
Okay, there you go.
There are kosher Doritos.
Are you a Cool Ranch guy or a nacho cheese guy?
The problem, you're going to laugh at me about this, okay? I have no problem with the taste. I don't like what I have to, I wish I had toothpicks for my Doritos.
Oh, yeah, you remember Zach used to have those too. He had those finger tongs so he wouldn't get cheesy fingers. That's what.
Yeah, I don't like I don't like the chips that give you the cheesy fingers.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the taste. I don't like what I have to deal with.
Sure.
It's a lot more to deal with. It's more complicated than the chip I want to deal with. You know me. I like my Fritos.
You're not picky at all. Anyway,
I'm very picky. On top of having my dietary restrictions, Kevin is calling out the fact that I'm probably one of the world's pickiest eaters on top of my odd dietary issues, which does not make it easy. Oh, hey, Ari, we got your birthday coming up on Sunday. Can we get you a cake? No, I'm good. Well, for the kosher thing, we'll get you a kosher cake. No. I'm good. Don't even try, guys. I'm good. Thank you so much. Actually, I saw this. I got invited to speak at this event next weekend, which we'll be advertising next week. We'll give you all the details on that. And they actually just asked me for my food order. And for the first time ever at one of these things, I'm looking at I'm like, that sounds amazing. It was like this kind of steak or that kind of steak or that. And I'm like, oh, man, that all sounds delicious, and I can't have any of it. I could say I'll have a nice tall glass of water, but thank you very much.
Do you, when you show up at the pearly gates, are they going to be like they're going to say like, well, this one time you slipped up and you actually ate this thing and you thought it was kosher, but it was not. So here's the list of all the things. Like, is that what's going to happen?
I am hoping that for me, when I show up at the pearly gates, let's say I'm wrong on all of this. Let's say I'm totally wrong. They go, hey, you tried. You got to give him some credit for showing his work, right? You got to give him some credit for that. Actually, this was kind of funny.
Then maybe you just slip up more often.
Oh, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Kevin wants to take me out for a Big Mac or something. That's what it is.
Man.
So there was this Chinese restaurant in New York, and on the window it said Galat Kosher. It's like, okay, I don't bother checking the certification. I'm an idiot teenager. It says kosher. I think it's kosher. I go in there. I'm like, this is the greatest Chinese food I've ever had in my life. It is delicious. So my father wants to get takeout for us one time. I'm like, hey, Dad, swing by this place. It's kosher. It's right near my school. Pick me up, pick up the food, and we'll go. And my father shows up to school, and I don't smell the Chinese in the car because you know how a car with takeout in it smells. And he goes, Ari, the place isn't kosher. I go, what do you mean it's not kosher? I said, it says Galat Kosher in the window. He goes, you didn't check the certification. They don't have one. They just put up a sign in the window that says Galat Kosher. So, yeah, thanks, Rabbi Dad, for killing all my fun. Now I don't get to have my non-kosher Chinese food guilt-free. Still the best Chinese food I've ever had in my life. And now I know why. I was probably eating bacon and had no idea that that's what was going on there. See, Kevin's laughing. He's loving every minute of this story. I can tell right now. And you know what you're going to love? Lars Larson is coming up next, my friends. Lars will be unleashed as we discuss the latest insanity in the Pacific Northwest. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. After a brief hiatus, it is great to be back with my friend Lars Larson, whose show you can catch every single weekday from 12 to 3 right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Lars, what have I missed while I've been gone?
Well, you haven't missed a whole lot except a war. I mean, we got the war going on. But I think I'm going to stick to my position that I think it's going to be over in weeks. It's going to be over sooner rather than later, which I think is going to deeply disappoint our friends in the Democrat Party, who within, I think it was 4 days after the first of the I'm calling it a confrontation with Iran, because I think it's more of a confrontation than a war. If it's only going to last for 6 or 8 weeks, I don't think you can exactly call that a war because it's going to be over too soon. But when Trump said this is what we're going to accomplish, the mullahs are not going to want to go along with it. But they're sort of sliding in that direction because they got almost nothing left. And I have heard a certain amount of commentary from people saying, and I even asked the question, why did he threaten to turn out the lights? Well, I had that clarified. I talked to John Solomon yesterday from Just the News, and he said, Lars, there are certain plants they know that largely supply the IRGC and their military facilities. He said, I don't think they're going to turn out the lights in Tehran. They're going to turn out the lights at the IRGC headquarters and in certain military bases because they know which power plants to hit that will do that.
One of the jokes we have in Jewish land, I actually predicted, I missed my prediction by 1 week. I said the war was going to stop before Passover because that way you wouldn't miss the Passover tourist season. But now it's stopping right as you got to get everybody back to Israel who came home for Passover. So you can get all those students who are in yeshiva and seminary like my son back to Israel. So as they say, missed it by that much.
That much. Yeah, but I mean, isn't this going to be, I mean, does Iran have anywhere to turn? They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They're running out of missiles and missile launchers. And I've had a lot of the most common question this week, Ari, has been, well, if they have no military left other than the IRGC, how are they controlling the Strait of Hormuz? And the short answer is they have anti-ship missiles that launch from land, and they're on mobile launchers. And so if you look at the geography of the Strait of Hormuz, it's only 24 miles wide. That's a small piece of water that if you sit on one side or the other, but Iran's on one side, that they can fire missiles or launch drones that will very much put that shipping at risk. So it gives you control. And now the Iranians are treating it like a toll bridge, like crossing, what is that bridge? Is the 502 that I drive across, and they take a picture of my license plate in Seattle, and they send me a bill for driving across the bridge. This is Iran.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what's interesting about this is you have to realize is that it could be any idiot with a shoulder mounted rocket launcher. It doesn't even necessarily mean it's like they're real military. It's whoever's around. And since it's, as you mentioned, so small, it's very narrow. It's very hard to take evasive action, especially when you've got 2 seconds to respond, maybe 3. So that's why they're worried about it. But it seems to me, Lars, that Iran is just kind of hoping for some breathing space before they go back at it again. And they're playing the long game because they think to themselves, look, Trump's going to be out of office in 2.5 years. So we can wait him out because they're a psychotic death cult and they're just waiting for this to be over.
Well, and that's, I think, the part that I never seem to get from the legacy media, because I've talked about this with experts who know more about it than I do. But as I understand, the Shiite Muslims believe that the return of the 12th Imam will be brought about by a conflagration that will, in which the United States will be destroyed, Israel will be destroyed, and the 12th Imam, the Mahdi, will come back. So where everybody else on the planet wants to secure their own continued existence, for the Iranian mullahs, the crazies who are running the country, not the people of the country, their most fervent hope is that the Mahdi, the 12th Imam, will come back after they launch a massive attack and destroy the United States and Israel. And you say, so mutually assured destruction worked as a deterrent between the United States and the old Soviet Union because the Soviet Union didn't want to go out of existence, neither did the US. And they both realized we have enough weapons to collectively destroy everything on the planet. But once somebody starts that, it probably won't end till we're out of bullets. And at that point, everybody will be dead and it'll be game over. Whereas for the folks who are running Tehran right now, running Iran right now, they think that it's not just game over, it's the thing they've hoped for the longest, and that is their religious destiny to destroy the planet, destroy the United States and Israel, and bring back their Mahdi.
Well, they've been trying this for a few thousand years now. It hasn't really worked out so well for them. So I don't think he's coming back anytime soon, whatever they plan on, whoever's showing up. Anywho, switching gears for a minute here. You've got this business with Melania Trump. Melania Trump usually doesn't get very politically involved, and now she's lashing out at the people who are accusing her of these Epstein ties, and rightfully so. I'd be pissed off, too, if somebody said something like that about me. But why do you think she chose this specific spot to weigh in on this?
You know what, Ari? That's one where I'm going to have to say, I don't honestly know. And the people who make their case by saying, well, there's a picture of her with this guy. Do you know, Ari, over the years, you and I have both been at events like CPAC, Feet to the Fire, SHOT Show, all these other events where we go and we do the broadcast for a couple of days or a week, and people walk up routinely throughout the broadcast. Half the time I'd be doing it while I was talking on the air. I'd have a headset on. Somebody would walk up and signal that they wanted a photo, and I'd have a photo taken with them. One time, there was a guy who was a Jewish doctor from New York City, and he kept coming to CPAC year after year, and he'd bring his son. And I think the first year his son was like 7, and by the time I stopped going to CPAC, his son was a teenager, and he would always have a picture taken with me every year. Well, the year I missed CPAC because of COVID, I'd actually gone to the airport, was ready to get on the plane. That plane got mechanically disqualified. Then the next plane got mechanically disqualified. And when they kicked us off the third plane, I said, okay, I think the big guy is telling me something. It's not my time to fly to CPAC. And I went home. You know what happened? The outbreak of COVID at CPAC was connected to that guy. I mean, I felt sorry for the guy, but they said, yeah, this is the doctor. And I went and looked it up. I said, this is the guy who comes with his son every year to get a picture taken with me. Now, If over the years, I'm willing to bet I've had pictures taken with people who later went on to become infamous. Now, is that a good thing? No. But how do you know? When you're Donald Trump or Melania Trump or Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm sure you have pictures taken with lots and lots of people. And before people knew that he was a pedophile and before he was convicted of pedophile crimes in '08, and then later, almost a decade later, was going to be brought back for more before he committed suicide, in quote marks. That he probably took lots and lots of pictures of lots and lots of people. Does that mean those people were somehow tarnished by or tainted by their connection through a photo at a party with
Yeah.
this creep?
Yeah, that's ridiculous stuff. I mean, we see so many examples of this all the time, and this is one of my concerns with opening the Epstein files. Is I think there should be transparency, but it's almost guilt by association, like you saw with Russell Wilson, the former Seahawks quarterback, who was implicated, and I'm using my air quotes because he was apparently talking about buying an airplane. And he didn't know the guy on the other end was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was really excited to find out he had Russell Wilson there, but now Russell Wilson's in the Epstein docs.
But how does that connect you? By guilt by association?
It doesn't at all. If I buy a used car, okay,
yeah,
and I have no idea who owns the used car before me. I saw this when Barack Obama was president. Somebody bought a used Chrysler. And when they looked up the title, they saw Barack Obama had previously owned this used Chrysler. Did he have any idea? They weren't selling it as Barack Obama's used Chrysler. It was just, this was his Chrysler. So this is the lengths that people go to. Really insane. Lars Larson, you can catch a show every single weekday from 12 to 3 right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Lars, have a wonderful weekend, my friend.
And you as well, Ari. Take care.
Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.
Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And just programming note, no more Jewish holidays for a while, my friends. That's right. Live every day for a very, very long time, which I love being here. I love being in studio. I actually said to somebody yesterday when I just had a little bit too much holiday, and I just said to somebody, I just want to go back to work. I just want to go back to work. That was me yesterday, fully cooked. Well, today, there was a bit of a snafu at the unveiling of the Ichiro Suzuki statue outside of T-Mobile. So they did the Edgar Martinez statue. I'm sorry, that's the Ken Griffey Jr. statue. Ken Griffey Jr. statue last year, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. And then Edgar Martinez is the road.
Right, that's what it is. Right,
okay.
right. So that's what you got there. So now they do the Ichiro one. And it's him in his classic pose where he's holding the bat straight up before he points it and aims at the guy and then gets ready to hit. And, he has an amazing hitting career. But there's a little problem. So you see the bat under the cloth that they have covered the statue with for the unveiling. And as they pull the cloth down, you see that bat goes down with it. And you're like, all right, we don't know what's under this thing. What's there? And then when it comes down, you're like, oh no, the bat broke. It literally, this metal bat broke at the base of the statue. And you see the sculptor, whoever it is, just puts his face in his hands like the Mariner Moose when they strike out or something. It was bad. Not good.
So I was watching that, and it almost seemed like it almost bent.
Yeah.
It was like bent backwards because it was still attached. It didn't like fall off.
No, it was hanging by a thread.
Yeah. And I also watched the video of them fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
Which it looks like they just kind of screwed it in.
Yeah.
It's almost like it twisted in.
So here's my thing. I'm glad they discovered this now, because otherwise, what would have happened with the Seattle populace that we have? Some homeless guy would have come along and be like, oh, I wonder if I could hit somebody with that, and taken it.
Well, now forget any homeless, whatever, humans, the way they are.
Yes.
You know that someone's going to jump up there and try to unscrew it or mess with it now.
Somebody tonight is coming back for that sucker. So it's either going to be somebody stole it and nobody knows where it is, and some teenagers got it up in his room like, I got Ichiro's bat from the statue. And years from now, he's like, that was kind of mean of me, right? Or you're going to hear a headline tomorrow, person beaten to death with Ichiro's bat, please God, no, from the statue. I mean, it could go either way at this point.
I'm also wondering if that isn't metal.
You
know
mean
what
that
I mean?
one
Like,
part of it?
Yeah, that one part of it, like the bat, maybe they actually make it out of some other material.
There's something in the middle of it. You can see it in the video. There's something else there for structural integrity that didn't do its job. There's something there. So
my other problem is, too, it looks like, did Ichiro put on some LBs or something? He doesn't. He was always like a lithe, skinny. I always equate him to like Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like he was ready to just like sprint at any moment. But it looked a little. I'm like, I don't know, man.
A little chunkier. Yeah.
They even got the little mini one. I think they're giving it away tonight at the game.
Are they?
For all? Yeah. And so I was looking at it, even that online. I was like, oh, man.
I have never seen a statue that actually looked like
Brutal.
the person it's of, ever.
It's brutal.
There's always something that looks off about it. And then the person's got to stand there and go, well, you know what? At least I got a statue.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. It's probably really hard to make those things.
Oh, sure.
Of whatever material it is.
And plus, this guy, now what's this guy going to be known for? Always on his Wikipedia page, it'll be his Ichiro statue with the broken bat. That'll be, for all time, that'll be that dude. And here's something else. This guy probably thought he had it good. Hey, the Mariners, they don't got a lot in that Hall of Fame of theirs, so they're probably going to keep making these statues for a few years now, and they got another Hall of Famer, so you know what? I got this set. You think they're going to call this guy after this? No, they're going to say, all right, hey, new sculptor dude, can you make the next guy and just make sure the bat doesn't break in the style of this fella?
Yeah. Could you not make it out of pot metal this time? It's like a die-cast metal statue.
All right, and just in case anybody's wondering, Seattle weather is very climate today, so it's not like it got so hot that the bat melted or something like that. Yeah, not a great look for anybody. Not good. Meanwhile, in other Seattle sporting news, Sam Darnold gets married to Katie Hoofnagel, surrounded by NFL stars, according to the New York Post. He got a Super Bowl ring and a wedding ring in the span of 2 months. Darnold, who helped Seattle beat the New England Patriots 29-13 in February's big game, married his fiancée, Katie Hoofnagel, on Friday. That's a fun last name. Hoofnagel announced the news on her Instagram story with a picture of her wedding ring captioned, "I have a husband now, by the way." I think she updated her Facebook status as well. Isn't that sweet? The wedding featured a who's who of NFL star with Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld, Christian McCaffrey, and Olivia Culpo, as well as Seattle teammate Cooper Kupp and his wife Anne Marie. I was wondering when a Seattle guy was going to make an appearance here. I'm hearing a lot of other players, but I'm not hearing any of those Seattle guys that much. Allen and Steinfeld attended just days after announcing the birth of a baby girl. Hallie and Josh were so sweet on the dance floor, clearly having a blast. People were politely congratulating them on their baby girl. They were very, very kind. Darnold and Hoofnagel announced their engagement on social media last July. They include snapshots of the special moment, which took place near the beach in Dana Point, California. The two-time Pro Bowler proposed to Hoofnagel with a stunning radiant cut diamond set on a pave band. I don't know jewelry. That's not.
Yeah, I don't know that stuff.
I don't know
either.
that stuff. I just know that looks pretty. I'll take it for my wife.
Yeah.
And it's in my price budget. We'll do that. So, lovely story. Big mazel tov to everybody. This is very nice. Upon sealing the Seahawks Super Bowl 2026 victory on February 8th, Darnold was overheard gushing about the couple's wedding while on the field at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. I don't remember. Was she on the float? I saw some girlfriends. I saw some wives. I saw some kids. I couldn't tell who was on the floats when they were going by. Quote, "You've got about a month until the wedding," he said in a video shared Wednesday on the NFL's Instagram account at the time. I was just telling NBC broadcaster Maria Taylor, the one who interviewed me, I was like, yeah, it is weird that I'm thinking about the wedding right now. It's in a month. You're just winning the Super Bowl. You're thinking about the wedding. Good on you, man. Good on you. Yes, absolutely. Hey, I'm one of those husbands that actually always remembers dates. I always remember the wedding date. I always remember the birth date, except for 1 year. This was bad. My wife's a couple months older than me, right? So she says, can we switch birthdays this year? So that way, when we turn 40, you're actually older than me for a couple months rather than me being older than you. And I'm like, sure, sweetie, whatever you want. So her birthday rolls around, and I don't get her anything. And she goes, how can you not get me anything on my birthday? And I said, you said you wanted to switch birthdays. You didn't get me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't get me anything.
Why didn't you get me anything? It's my birthday today. So I had to fix that one real fast. So I thought that's what we were doing. Okay, we all make mistakes. We all try. We all make mistakes. Meanwhile,
along those lines.
Yes.
So my family, I have two brothers. So it's a house of men.
Yes.
Except for my mom.
Okay.
1 year, we all forgot her birthday.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The next day, my dad said, "Gather around, guys. You know, it was your mom's birthday yesterday."
And everybody forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, no. She probably still doesn't let you forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not good. That's not good at all. Actually, speaking of which, my birthday's on Sunday. I'm going over to my buddies at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. It's our monthly swap the car thing, and they said they got something fun for me for my birthday. So I'm kind of excited to see what fun thing they have over there. I'm very much looking forward to that. I love the car thing. Plus, my son's in town. It's the last day before he goes back for the end of spring break. So maybe I'll take him with me. We'll see what fun stuff they have for us waiting over there at the Dodge dealership. I'm pretty excited for that. Artemis 2. Why are these guys still not out of the capsule? What's going on here? They got all these boats hovering around. They're still
Looks
not
like
out
the
of
door's
capsule?
opening now.
Oh, here we go. Finally, they're coming out. Okay. And there's no aliens with them or anything else like that? They haven't developed superpowers? Nothing? They're all still alive? Great. Wonderful. Fantastic. All right, that's going to do it for us today, my friends. But fear not, we will be back on Monday with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and probably more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.